And welcome. We are live now, broadcasting from Rockwall County Courthouse, and we are outside because it is a packed room. And of course, with me today, of course, is the Iron Lady, Adrienne Balcom. Adrienne, so this has been kind of a mess of a day. This is a new broadcast booth, so we'll be able to do live on location shots, but a lot of whatever could go wrong has gone wrong. The good news is the forum really hasn't started. The candidates haven't come up yet, but it looks as though it looks like Heath, the city of Heath, is up next.
Right now is Roy.
That's Heath. That's Ivy and Rich Krause are sitting at the table. I'm wondering if they're doing what they did last year, and if somebody couldn't show up, they're going to basically wait for them. So I am going to go ahead and move our camera over there, and hopefully you will be able to hear all of that. So I'm going to transfer it over there, and we'll see what transpires.
Mr. Krause, how can Heath be a leader in Rockwall County?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud to say, I think a lot of people in Rockwall County know me. I see a lot of familiar people in this room, and I've always believed that our community doesn't stop at the Heath city limit. I go to many of the county commissioner meetings to give feedback when Frank New was on the road consortium. Frank New's also been very involved in the COVID scenario we have here. I think it is up to the council and our staff. I know Rita Adams is also very involved in Rockwall, and introducing herself to these people. And I met a lot of these folks doing things like TML, Texas Municipal League. Great opportunity for training. I've got over 60 hours of TML training. I went through their leadership program, one of only 30 in Texas that showed up to go there for 7 days and get certified. Another great opportunity is Rockwall Days in Austin. You get to meet a lot of the folks that you work with throughout the county in doing that. Thanks to Lee Gilbert, I was recently nominated to the Rockwall County Library Advisory Committee. That just happened last month. So I'm a, as my wife would say, serial volunteer, I guess you call it. So yes, the city of Heath does need to be involved in Rockwall County, and that includes all the cities around. We have a very good relationship with Mclendon Chisholm. We had shared ETJ, has to have a good relationship with Rockwall. Try our best with Forney. I mean, it's just one big community, and as we work together, the road consortium is probably the best example I can think of. We have gotten millions and millions of dollars of road work done through working with each other throughout our county on that road consortium. So the city of Heath is actually very involved with the county as leaders, and should continue.
Mr. Ivy, how can Heath be a leader in Rockwall County?
Yeah, great question. So I am very biased. I know this is not going to make me the favorite in the room, but I believe Heath is the best city in Rockwall County, and definitely will believe that to the end. And you know, Mr. Krause brought up something very, very important. I've spent, when I decided to run, I've spent really my days getting out in the community, knocking as many doors as I can, just really kind of learning from the residents what is most important and on their mind. Traffic concerns continues to be a big one, as Mr. Krause brought up, and as we, small town community, small town feel, large lot feel, which is definitely the fabric of our city. We are continually driving into Rockwall and all over Rockwall County. So we've got to continue to make sure that we are spending money on the infrastructure that we need to make sure our roads are proper and maintained. And knocking on doors has been literally the greatest time of my life, and I'll always remember meeting all these residents, and infrastructure is a big one in roads. I'll tell you another one is continuing to invest in our safety and security, and we have a reciprocation agreement with Rockwall as for our fire station if we do have fires. I am in the insurance business, and so I get to see customers on their worst day when they have a fire and see that house burn down, and I am committed to continuing to invest in our DPS officers. We currently have a relationship, like I said, with Rockwall, where they'll come out on our large fires. Our tallest firefighting apparatus right now is 24 feet tall. So I live in a two-story house. If you have a two-story house, we are calling on Rockwall and making sure that they're coming out and helping us. I am committed to doing everything in my power to continue to fund our DPS officers so that we can take care of ourselves. So definitely believe that Heath is the best city in Rockwall, Texas, and I guess I'm not big fans today, so thank you.
All right, third question, Mr. Ivy will start. How do you determine what you believe is best for the city's growth?
Great question. I think first and foremost, getting out in the community and learning from the residents, I think is first and foremost. I have no prior agenda when I came into this position. Really sitting down at the kitchen table with as many residents as possible is what I've continued to do. We do have a comprehensive plan that really does a good job in outlining not only currently what our development strategy is, but what that future is going to look like. I'm committed to that. Heath residents are super passionate about their city. They love the large lot, small town feel. We don't over commercialize that side of our city. We're focused on continuing to keep single family neighborhoods and protecting them. And those are things that I'm really focused on. As we continue to grow and our city continues to develop, we really have to hold true to that comprehensive plan so that we don't make sure we get out of whack. And so I'm committed to doing that. And there's some really, really neat ideas that we can come up with as we look to grow, and I'm committed to continue to manage that growth.
Yeah, you're representing.
Same question for Mr. Krause.
I know.
How do you determine what you believe is best for the city's growth?
Well, as Jeff said, the main thing is the comprehensive plan. That's been through 2 revisions since I've been working with the council, and it's been improved both times and has a lot of input from the citizens. The current residents of Heath moved to Heath because it's open field, country field, and they've invested a lot of money, and I don't think it's fair to change that after they get there to increase density or change the feel and look of the city of Heath. And again, we also have the town center overlay district, which is determining how the commercial restaurants and shops are going to look in downtown Heath. Again, a lot of input on that. Kimberly Horn is working on a study today on determining how that's going to look. Again, the master park and trail plan, a lot of citizen input. They want parks, they want trails. It determines where they're going to have them. I think a significant improvement that I helped put forth is that there used to be a fee in lieu of where developers could just pay $1,000 a lot in lieu of donating land for a park, just land. So if you got 10 acres, you give the city $10,000, you don't have to give up $250,000. Well, we changed that. Now you have to not only donate land, but you have to actually develop a park. And that's how you have growth that's quality for your citizens and improves their lifestyle and standard of living. So the fee in lieu of is still there, but just to tell developers, we don't want their money, we want a park. And right now we put down about 100 new houses a year, and that is a manageable growth. We can look at our budget, we can look at our staff needs, and we can adjust. We can study our DPS, who gives input every year as to what their equipment and person's needs are. And we can keep from raising our taxes, which we haven't in 3 years, regardless of what.
You can hold on to that. We're going to have your closing comments.
So what's that?
We're going to start with Mr. Krause and then Mr. Ivy. And right before he starts, if I could have the candidates for Fayette City Council start moving to the front. On this side, Ms. Jerry Fisher will pick you up here in a second. Closing comments, 2 minutes. Mr. Krause, go.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Anytime that you can talk to constituents of Rockwall County and Heath, hopefully live, hopefully broadcast all the way to Heath and people watching. We are a small town. We're 12 square miles.
Okay.
And it is a jewel. And I'm very proud to have been there for 26 consecutive years. And again, watching my family grow up there. We had 2,000 open acres between us and Highway 80 when we moved there. Now we have Heath Coffee House. I think that the city council is currently very focused on controlling growth and keeping the density and multifamily housing and apartments out of Heath, and I'm committed to do that. I've done that several times, and I've done it while I've been on there. It has not always been that way. We transitioned to a council who was more concerned with personal benefit than they were comprehensive plan, and I'm very concerned that it could start going back that way. The citizens of Heath in 2017 did a sweeping change in their city council. They weren't happy with the way things were going in the development. Thank heavens they looked at my voting record and said I was one that was voting correctly the whole time. So I am the only remaining councilman that's on that council. I'm also got senior to quite a bit of the staff, so I have some knowledge from being at, again, 240 odd council meetings officially and probably another 150 unofficially. I know how the city works. I know how we get pitfalls. I know if a developer says he's got 50 lots sold, you have a tract home community going in there. If you have 1,200 homes going into a community, don't give them 10% leeway on how he changes up the density. I've been here a long time. I love the city. I've been committed to it, and I will be here for the rest of my life.
Mr. Ivy, 2-minute closing.
Absolutely. Thank you all for letting me come out and talk. Again, I'll kind of end where I started. I am not a politician. I'm a small business owner. I am so excited about the opportunity to get to run. I've had the time of my life getting to meet all the great residents of this city. My opponent and I may disagree on certain issues, but I promise you there's more that unite us in the city of Heath than divide us. And I will do everything in my power to continue a positive message and continue to work hard for the residents of Heath. Going door to door has been a blessing. Property taxes is always number one and has been a concern, and providing real property tax relief is a commitment of mine. Infrastructure is a big one, focusing on our roads and continuing to make sure that we're funding those properly. I'm in the insurance business, and I don't know if anybody else is in the insurance business. It's not necessarily the most exciting career in the world. I've always wanted to be a fireman, right? Now, I can promise you, if I saw a fire, I'd probably run the other way. So Chief Siri at the DPS would definitely never hire me. But I want to continue, that's a passion of mine. I want to continue to make sure that we're funding the DPS. They do a great job, and safety and security at our city is at an all-time high. And I want to make sure I continue that not only for now, but for the next generation. And then continuing to protect our single-family neighborhoods. That's the fabric of our city. Large lot feel, that's ultimately what made me and Ashley move here in 2012. It's what allows us to stay here, and maybe I'm getting old, but I want to protect that for my kiddos for the next generation. And whether they choose to live here or not, I want them to have the same opportunities that I did. So I'm excited about this opportunity to run. Again, not a politician, but this has been some of the greatest months of my life. So thank you for letting me have this conversation, and look forward to meeting every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for him. And we're going to be seeing who's next. I'm going to be switching cameras real quick, so bear with me.
Good to see you.
Place 5, we've got Mr. James DeLand and his opponent Donovan Heinrich. I don't believe he's in the house. So, Mr. DeLand, we're going to start with you. You're going to start off with a 1-minute introduction, and then we'll have 3 questions and a closing. So this is Mr. James DeLand, Fayette City Council, candidate place 5. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. As he said, I'm Jim DeLand. I am running for Fayette City Council, place 5. I became concerned a few months ago about the growth of Fayette and how it was impacting our residents, the community. My wife and I, we're driving around. We've seen multiple accidents. Been Payne and Highway 66. So you need me to do this so it sounds better. Okay. So if I need to rewind, no, I won't rewind. Anyway, so when we started investigating what the city was planning to do about the growth, we got more and more involved. We started attending the city council. I actually ran into, at that time, Pro Tem Mayor David Billings. He encouraged me to get more involved, run for city council. I talked to him a few more times. My wife and I then considered it and said, you know what? We really need to make sure our voice is heard along with our neighbors and residents of the city of Fayette so that we can get the growth that we actually want that's maintained and manageable.
Okay, thank you. Your first question. Fayette has exploded in the last 5 to 10 years as a bedroom community, but has done little to advance in economic development. What are your plans for furthering the commercial growth in the city of Fayette?
That's a very interesting question. And that's one of the things that my wife and I have seen, the explosion without the underlying growth of commercial development. So that's what kind of helped prompt us to get into what's coming in. And it really started with, we don't have a real coffee shop in the city of Faith, so, you know, where are we going to get that? And that just kind of led into other things. Part of our investigation, the city of Faith has started to revamp their growth plans, and they are concentrating on commercial development. What they've done is something that I believe in. I want to help them move that forward. We're looking at really good small to medium, the mom and pop type shops that support the community. We believe that supporting community is good. We like, you know, no offense to Heath, you're not the greatest, famous, but we want to keep the money in Faith and, you know, share what little we have beyond that with the others. So that's what we're looking for. How to develop that without giving away, quote, the farm. You know, a lot of the big boxes come in and they want you to give away most of the tax base with what they call incentives. But by the time you get to their incentives, they're packing up shop and leaving town. So we want to be able to try to capture the tax base appropriately so that it's being shared amongst the residents and the businesses, because you need both of those to be able to sustain a good city growth with the infrastructure that's going to take place.
All right, question number 2. If you could change one action taken by the current city council, what would it be and why?
I'm wondering where these questions are coming from. What one action taken by the city council would I change? I'm not sure there is one that I'm aware of that I would change right off. I know one of the things that we need to do a better job of is actually informing the community what's going on within city council. Over the past month, I've seen a better ability, a better production of actually getting the word out that we're doing these things and getting the comments back from the residents. As I'm attending the city council, there are some times when I'm the only one there who's not a city council person. And that's kind of disheartening, but it's because we don't get the word out enough. So they've taken steps in using media to get that information out there. But that's the one thing I'd like to change, would be to get better information out amongst the community so that we can get the decisions made that is what the residents want, not necessarily what the 7 people in this council meeting think is best.
All right, your third question. Do you foresee an increase in the next 4 years in the Faith ad valorem taxes?
I hope not. You know, it's part of the whole planning the city growth. What are we doing? How do we maintain the tax structure that is a fair and non-burdensome? You know, there are some people who literally live paycheck to paycheck, and any kind of increases on the tax rate structure is going to impact them drastically. We know some, we're good friends with them, and we like them. I mean, we want to keep them in the community. So, as being on the city council, I want to be able to look at these things, see what the impact of the decisions made and how it impacts the tax base and the tax structure. Hence, why a good development of downtown Faith would be a wonderful blessing for us, especially with the park they're planning. That's going to create a good community meeting places that will help support the small businesses that we're planning for down there. And then development of the I-30, you know, we're excited to get our first grocery store. So, you know, we're going to be planning and growing upon that. So that's what I see is going to happen for the city of Faith, is that we got to develop our commercial properties well that will support the city's growth of residents.
Okay, we're going to do a 2-minute closing, and while he's starting that, if we could have all the candidates for Mclendon Chisholm City Council, both place 3 and place 5 candidates, if you could start moving towards the front, we'll keep this going. So, Mr. DeLand, you have a 2-minute closing.
That's James DeLand, who is on right now from the city of Faith, and he is.
You know, one of the things that I came across.
Going to be on the show. He actually, interestingly, he is the only person who showed up for tonight's candidate forum. He's the only person who's going to show up on my show, and so it's not surprising, I would be surprised if he wasn't victorious. So, Jeff Ivey, you had a chance to talk to voters. A lot of people are here tonight, and of course, you said the wrong thing. You said that Heath was the best city ever, and what do you think?
I know. I think there may have been,
I mean, you've lost a lot of Rockwell voters.
I know. Automatically, I lost to every Rockwell voter in the room, and I did preface it and tell him I was going to make him upset by saying it. So
No, that was a great comment. I like that.
I figured I'd be honest and truthful. So
sure, absolutely. How's the campaign going?
Going great. So we have now almost hit 2,000 doors, and so
oh my goodness,
I've gone through 2 pairs of shoes.
Really?
I'm just having a blast. I think meeting the residents at their door, I've just been blown away with the response, and we'll continue to do that all the way up until Election Day. So it's been time of my life.
You know, it was neat to see you and Rich together. Rich is a great guy, and I thought it was a really very good, respectful discussion, and so difference of ideas in some ways, and so where do you see the biggest difference between you and Rich?
Yeah, I think ultimately the biggest difference is just this is my first time running. I've been on the council for 12 years, and I really do appreciate his service. Ultimately, that's why I'm running. I want to make sure that we continue to inspire the next generation to get involved, and so that was a big deal to me. I do believe that our founding fathers, when they were forming the union, really believed in part-time representation.
Yes.
And so that's ultimately why we chose to run for place 6 against Rich. I'm worried that, we're seeing that at the government level. Congressmen are staying in office forever, and that gives them the ability to, say what they're going to vote to us to get elected and then vote a different way. So I'd say that's the biggest difference. Nothing bad or good, but that's just the biggest difference between us.
Well, I wish you the very best. Hope the campaign goes well. Thanks for stopping by.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, good to see you. Of course, that's Jeff Ivey from Heath, and running for City Council in Heath, and against incumbent Rich Krause. Again, like we said, nice guy, great guy, and we and I had a great discussion. And you're going to be able to see that interview between that candidate forum with Jeff Ivey and Rich Krause. I like both these guys. I'm just going to be straight. They're both good guys. Rich Krause has done some amazing things, obviously, in Heath. And obviously, I think Jeff has a good point about term limits. I'm a term limit guy. So that's in fact, it was one of the platform positions that I presented to the Rockwall County Republicans. It was approved. Approved unanimously. Of course, the Iron Lady here, Adrian Balcom, was also a delegate, and that passed well. So I mean, Rich has a point. I mean, excuse me, Jeff has a point. So and I wish, I will say, I wouldn't mind if Rich ran for state representative. That would be a good thing to see. Might be neat to have a conservative in the state representative seat, maybe stepping on toes a little bit.
Might be. Well, I think that we're switching over to Mclendon Chisholm.
Mclendon Chisholm, okay. Yeah. Very good. All right, so I'm going to move we're going back.
To a land speculator. And this was an area that already had low taxes. And we know that when they start giving money away, the taxes have to come to pay for that. That's what got me involved in this about 3 years ago, and what brings me to this table to talk to you today. Thank you very much.
All right, Ms. Val Bodart, you have a 1-minute introduction.
Hi, I was not born in Texas either, but I was born in Southwest Oklahoma, which is pretty darn close. I've been married to my husband for 35 years. He's been almost 35 years. He's been with me for that long. So hopefully that's a point in my favor. We have 2 children, both grown, and a granddaughter and a daughter-in-law that we love very much. My husband was in the Air Force. My father was in the Air Force, and it just so happened that after we got married, I joined the Air Force also. And one of the things that very few people can say is that we both got deployed to war. We both were deployed to Desert Storm. So we've been through a lot of things together and a few moves. But we're happy to be here in Texas, where we love Mclendon Chisholm, and I'm excited to run for City Council.
Okay, Mr. Dan Tucker, your 1-minute introduction, and when you finish that, just hold on to the microphone, because you'll be first on deck for that first question. Mr. Tucker, 1 minute.
My name is Dan Tucker, and obviously I'm running for Mclendon Chisholm City Council, seat number 5. I'm not a native, but I feel like I should have been here a long time ago. come from a military background, at least my parents. My dad was in the service for approximately 32 years. So we moved around the country a lot. I went to 12 schools and 4 high schools before I landed and graduated. Went to UCLA and went to, later on went to University of Missouri in Kansas City. And then was in the healthcare field for approximately 30 years, had successful practices out in California, and eventually got out of that oppressive state and came to the beautiful state of Texas, where I have my family and my grandkids that live next door, and got involved with politics here in town, and wanted to engage and try. That's it.
You can just hold that. Our first question for the Mclendon Chisholm City Council candidates. In terms of utility infrastructure, what do you see as the biggest challenge that faces the city?
One of the largest challenges. Well, currently we're putting in sewer, which is a nice asset in terms of infrastructure, and we're putting that. It's coming down from Sonoma Verde along the 205, and then cutting off at the 550. And it's a challenge for us. It's costing a considerable amount of money at this point. Initially, the cost was quoted at $250,000, and then inflated up to $328,000. And the last figure I saw the other day was $491,000. So infrastructure is certainly necessary in the city. I want it to be checked a little bit as we progress. These are prime areas along the 205 and 550 intersect, which is almost the center of town. And we'll be developing that out, and certainly we do need infrastructure in order to attract businesses there. But one of the things about Mclendon Chisholm is that we have large lot sizes, and most of the homes, many of the homes, excluding Sonoma Verde, are on septic. And so it's my desire, long-term, to keep lot sizes, much like Heath. Remember the commentary from those folks over in Heath, that we want to keep an open spaces in our city. We want to keep lot sizes large, and we will have to support infrastructure, but we have to do it in a considerably thoughtful fashion. Eventually it'll go up and down the 205, and I realize that's because it's a primary business zone, but I think we have to be thoughtful in terms of our outlays of money and do it in a very structured fashion, do it in an intelligent fashion, so that it places the benefit of all Mclendon Chisholm folks.
Okay, same question for Ms. Bodart. In terms of utility infrastructure, what do you see as the biggest challenges that face the city?
I think you're going to find that all three of us up here have very similar ideas about our infrastructure, that it needs to be carefully planned, that Mclendon Chisholm is a very unique city. We don't have a lot of businesses, and we don't have a lot of, well, yet, and we don't have a lot of need for a lot of infrastructure, and I kind of like that. Of course, we need to be prepared for the future, but we need to do it carefully. We had some water issues this past year, and I'm sure Paul is going to get into that a little bit more, but that's more of his alley. But we do have some challenges with our water and the delivery of it, and there are some things that need to be overseen a little bit better, and I think that I can help do that.
Okay, same question. In terms of utility infrastructure, what do you see as the biggest challenges that face the city? Mr. Day?
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, I'm deeply interested actually in the water infrastructure that we're having issues with. I moved to Mclendon Chisholm, and other than the fact that we're giving the money to this land speculator, soon thereafter we received a boil notice. These types of things should be happening in well-funded and well-maintained city infrastructure. So I have a deep interest in making sure that there's water security for the community. And a lot of this is actually predicated upon lack of oversight with respect to how the city is managing those water resources coming from certain nonprofit private interests. I don't want to mention here. In terms of who I am and my background, why I care so much, I am somebody that's made a living as a water scientist. I have a master's degree in geology. I have a deep interest in the Black River area out here in Singing Reserve. And the water infrastructure and how it works out here is extremely interesting. It's a elaborate. And quite frankly, we need to bring confidence to that question, not just for Mclendon Chisholm, but for Rockwall County at large. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Day, you can hold the microphone. This next question, you're going to start off. However, we're going to switch things up a little bit. It's going to go Mr. Day, then we're going to jump to Mr. Tucker, and Ms. Bodart will be third to respond to this second question. As the number of homes and population increases, what improvements are immediately needed in city codes and ordinances?
That's a really interesting question, because it seems like every time we look up, there's some new development coming in. Much of it is controversial. And in terms of immediate codes, actually I have to go back and review this. We're in the middle of reviewing and revising the comprehensive plan. And how that's coming together is a little strange, because we actually had an economic development committee. I was the vice chair of that committee with some other wonderful colleagues from the community. And that's recently been put on pause to let a private contractor kind of set the cornerstone, and I feel like that's kind of the reverse of what we should be doing. So a lot of stuff is up in the air in terms of what I would change and how I would approach it. One thing I would do is very strongly enforce the current community standard of 1.5 acres minimum lot size, which has become a major issue in our community. Both my colleagues, both I think agree, and have both stated that they agree with the same issue going forward. The impact it's starting to have on the city in terms of whether we are a suburban or a rural lifestyle is becoming pretty dramatic. And I think that what we need to do is we need to figure out who we are, what we want to be, and what is going on, so we can look at these codes and decide what needs to be. I have a feeling some of these codes actually need to go rather than be implemented. You'd be surprised how much is too much from the city council. I think that's kind of the best answer I can give on this, because we're just like in a weird state of flux right now in our city.
All right, Mr. Tucker, same question to you. As the number of homes and population increases, what improvements are immediately needed in city codes and ordinances?
Well, as Paul said, our town's going through a lot of transition now. We're redoing the comprehensive plan. And it seems to be a little bit of a puzzle. I've been on the Economic Development Committee as it was as an ad hoc committee prior to them formalizing it, and we were being confronted with a lot of different types of businesses. We're talking about a lot of different types of businesses that the city excluded, and I think we have to revisit that listing and modify it to the point where we can make a hard decision on what's really appropriate for what we consider a rural town and what's not. Again, 1.5 acres, I'm on the planning and zoning committee, and we had a developer come in approximately a month ago or so, and they wanted to institute a 1 acre lot size in this new development over off of Sinks in Poland. And we debated on the planning and zoning amongst ourselves, and they really compromised their approach when they came up against us, because they really did not follow any of the comprehensive plan outline, and it would have been at least courteous for them to do so. They got a rebuke from us. We turned down the 1.0 acres. I'm primarily, if you look at the 2018-19 survey, 90% of the folks there said that they wanted to maintain a 1.5 acre status for new homes there. And so I have to lean in that direction until I'm told differently. We'll have a new survey coming out soon, and if it varies, then that's one thing. But I want to maintain that open space and that sense of largeness. And I think by having a 1.5 acre lot size is going to help maintain that.
Okay, same question to Ms. Bodart. As the number of homes and population increases, what improvements are immediately needed in city codes and ordinances?
In a roundabout way, I'm going to get to it. I have been going to city council meetings for the past 2 years as often as humanly possible. I've learned much, and I have also spoken much. Anytime they have come up with a decision to
Check
make,
1 2
and
1 2
I
3 4
have no
5.
problem giving my
1 2 3
opinion
4
in
5.
citizen comments.
Check 1 2.
Unfortunately, in
Check
the
1
last
2
meeting,
3
I was
4.
not able to attend, and that's when our city council voted to agree to have the developer develop 1 acre lot sizes instead of 1.5 acre, and it was a 2-1
1 2 3 4
vote.
5. 1 2 3.
And they would know. If I had been there, I would have been very vocal about that situation. So my answer to this is we need a city council who will follow the existing ordinances and codes as they stand. We can change what we need to as we need to, but we need a city council that we can trust to follow what is already written and implemented.
Keep the microphone. The third question, we're going to start off with Ms. Bodar, and we'll move to Mr. Tucker, and Mr. Day will speak third on this question. The last question is, do you have any concerns about the widening of State Highway 205, and why?
Personally, yes, because my house overlooks 205, so I'm going to see all the traffic from my front door. I'm concerned about the safety of everyone going between Terrell and Rockwall and Terrell. It's already back to back, I mean, bumper to bumper every single day. And there are so many accidents. I hope that this can be done in a very safe manner, that the lanes can be properly marked, that it is done, with some forethought for our safety, so that we can see the lines at night. What they just did was abysmal. When it rains, you can't see anything. So that's one of the things. We know that the traffic is going to increase as the lane numbers increase. And as a city council, we'll work with that. We'll deal with that as much as we can.
Mr. Tucker, same question. Do you have any concerns about the widening of State Highway 205, and why?
Obviously, I have a concern about it simply because for the safety purposes, number one. But I mean, it's a fact of life that 205 is going to be widened. It's the main artery for travel for all of our citizens to Rockwall and down to Terrell. So it has to be widened. It's very dangerous as it is currently, and so it has to be widened. And I'm looking forward to that, to tell you the truth. I think that there's going to be traffic tie-ups and such, but you know, I'd rather be a little bit more optimistic about this, because I think what it's really going to do is it's going to allow us a little bit more time to strategize in terms of where we should be putting our businesses. It's outlined. We know where this road's going to run, and we know where the outlets and the inlets and everything in between are going to be. We know where the traffic lights are going to be. And so that's basically a roadmap for us to start thinking about, okay, we can put recreational site here, which would be, you know, a good place. We could put housing development over here, way back beyond the viewpoint. And that would be appropriate because there's a big intersection there. And so for us, and we're redoing our comprehensive plan, it gives us a little bit more time to reflect and plan, I guess, more in accordance with what's going to be best for our citizens in the long term. And really, it's going to benefit our citizens long term, and we need to be looking at the long term consequence of all this.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Same question. Do you have any concerns about the widening of State Highway 205, and why?
Yeah, I share the concerns of my colleagues and many of the community, and those were very, very good comments, both of you guys. I love them. I have additional concerns also that go to the fact that we have a rural lifestyle out there, what the impacts of that rural lifestyle are going to be by having that level of traffic coming through, the effect that it's going to have. What defines a rural lifestyle? Is it the fact that you can step outside at 7 o'clock, you know, in the evening in you know, Christmas and still see the stars? People in Garland struggle with that. Those are the kinds of things that I worry about, is losing the rural lifestyle that we have out there that is so precious to us, that many of us paid a premium for those properties to live out there and to enjoy. So I'm worried about that. I am also very conscious of the fact that we need honest development that actually meets the needs of the community, the things that people want that live there, not necessarily a 7-Eleven on the corner, even though maybe that's what we want. But there's definitely a community need out there for certain types of businesses that I think that corridor can serve and to help make or help flourish. But I am definitely concerned about losing the rural nature of our community. But as Mr. Tucker said, this is a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. So how are we going to make the best of this circumstance? And quite honestly, we're still waiting to see what's going to come from the decisions that are being made by our colleagues that are on current city council, and then us up in the future. So we will be elected. So, thank you.
All right, you can keep the microphone. 2-minute closing comments. The order of speakers for this is going to be Day, Bodart, Tucker. Mr. Day, 2 minutes.
Thank you very, very much. Like I said, thank God I was born a Republican. I am telling you, I was born a Republican. I can't even imagine any other way to live. Quite frankly, it's been kind of a challenging lifestyle because I've lived in California. I'm a fellow Bruin, like Mr. Tucker over here, with UCLA. I have my bachelor's degree. I did 4 years of my PhD there. And I was a lifer there. And I lived in a very rural community, a very conservative community in California. Usually when people think of California, they think of San Francisco, Los Angeles. They don't think of the other places like Orange County, Eastern Riverside County, which is where I was from. Coming out here and fitting in with the people in Texas has been amazing. It's almost like I feel like an adopted son. It's like one of the most important things that has ever happened in my life. I'm never leaving. I mean, I tell people that all the time. I'm never going to leave. And you can't control where you were born. I have a great pedigree for working hard for people. I'm currently a professor, in fact, over at Eastfield College. So if you ever take a geology or a science class, you can see where I'm coming from on a lot of the things that I'm interested in. And I'm one of the few conservative professors that you're going to find that will actually say that. And trust me, I get the wrath from time to time. Okay. But I just want my colleagues know. You know, my family has loved every minute of becoming a Texan. My son was actually born right here in Rockwall. I have a daughter born in Hawaii, another one in Oregon, but they are all picking up the accent much quicker than I am, and I'm proud to be one of your adopted sons. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Bodart, you have a 2-minute closing.
If you don't remember, last year I had a very long campaign. I ran for mayor of Mclendon Chisholm. I didn't quite make it to that chair, but the opportunity presented itself for me to run for city council, and I think this will be a really good fit for me. I'm very conservative in every way. I am very conservative. So if I'm on the city council, you won't have to worry about me suddenly veering off to some new thing. I will take every new idea and research it and plan it out and ask questions and listen to our citizens. To me, that is one of the biggest things, is to listen to all of our citizens who live in our city. They're the ones that need to make the decisions. We need to follow it as city council members.
All right, Mr. Tucker, 2-minute closing.
I don't know if I can fill 2 minutes, but like my colleagues here, I have a very conservative background, and though I came from California, I actually moved out there when I was 17, and at that time it was, I think Reagan or Duke Mason was the current governor, and it was a very, very nice, pleasant place to live. The weather was great, but it was a very conservative state, and the state respected, you know, the Judeo-Christian values, and they didn't interfere with our kids at school other than teaching them the 3 R's. Progressively, that changed, and I was embedded in my business, my practice, and couldn't extract myself out of that state. But for 30 years, you know, I tolerated it and tried to protect my own kids who were going through school from all kinds of ideologies that were starting to degrade the value system out there, and certainly was attacking us as Christians. And so we made a conscious effort to leave there at some point and start anew. And my entire family, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my kids, all my children, grandchildren came out to Texas, and it was like a breath of fresh air for us. And we're amongst people, I think, that have common values and see limited government as something that we all want. Less intrusion in our lives, and if I'm elected to city council at Mclendon Chisholm, then I would like to institute those kinds of values as part of the makeup that comes along with me when I'm making my decisions. Love Texas, love Mclendon Chisholm, love the wide open space, and it's my intent to try to preserve that.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. This concludes the Mclendon Chisholm City Council candidates.
Okay, and that is the forum. That was the candidates for the city of Mclendon Chisholm. What I found interesting is Trudy Wessner, the rhino of the group. Obviously, it was not present, and I'm not surprised. But it was good to hear Paul Day and Val Bodart talk, especially about the open spaces, how important that was. Something that's an issue, obviously, that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm really glad that they dealt with that. But with me now is Jill Cluess, and we had your premiere last night? Was last night. Okay, and so were you happy with it? How it turned out?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I didn't make you look too bad.
No, you didn't.
All right.
You're good.
All right, good. And so what do you think the biggest difference is now that you've had a chance to look at the two different at your opponent, and as you look at that, what do you think the biggest difference between the two of you is?
I come from a parent's perspective, and I think that's not from an educator perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's much sense as important to say that there's not very few when you hear those types of positions, and it's a role that the parents have. What I'm here for.
Is there anything that you wish you would have said different? I mean, what I mean by that is there's something that you wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to.
Well, I am not a politician. I don't claim to be a politician, so I think I answered the questions fairly. So I'm doing it again.
Listen, as I told you before, when I started this show, it was awful, and so don't worry about it.
It would be nice to bring up term limits. I think that we should have term limits going forward.
Okay.
It's an important thing to pass the baton and let the younger generation step up and serve their communities. So that would be one thing that I would like to just put out there.
I'm a big proponent of term limits. In fact, it was a party platform, the Republican Party platform. I included that, and it's something that is near and dear to my heart. So she served 9 years. How many years do you think? What do you think a term of office should be for school board? 2 terms. That's 6 years. Yeah. Okay. Is that what you're planning to serve? 2 years? Okay, 1 term.
If elected, we'll be a junior and senior, and then the year after she graduates, I'd still be on the board. So I would love to see somebody come up behind me that also had children in the school that could contribute to the board.
Well, Jill, you're about to go on here at the Republican Forum. I wish you the very best. Hope you have fun. Yeah, good to see you. Yes, good to see you. We. Adrienne Balcom, the Iron Lady, who is the producer of this show, is lining up candidates, and you've obviously had a chance to meet this candidate. How did you feel that Bobby, when we did, your place won, and how did you feel about the interview? You okay with everything? Okay.
I thought it was great. I thought it painted a very good picture between the 2 candidates for who to choose.
So now that you've had a chance to look at your opponent and how that went, what do you think the biggest differences between the 2 of you are?
So I think I'm just the more conservative choice, and the reason I believe that is that I'm not afraid to talk about LGBTQ agenda. I'm not afraid to talk about critical race theory and how against those things I am. I'm not afraid to support our Second Amendment. I'm not afraid to make those bold stances. And I felt like the difference between my opponent and myself was that she tended to ride the fence a little bit more. I'm not sure that we got a good idea whether she's a true conservative, rhino, or where she actually stands on the issues that are really going to impact our kids in the future.
Now, of course, Sherry is a neighbor of mine, so good, good friend. Brett and Sherry, love them. So you're not talking about, this is not a personal issue. You're dealing with issues, and that's really what you wanted to focus on.
I'm concerned about those issues. I'm concerned about the indoctrination that our kids are going through in high school and below that now. And my goal for running and to try to get elected is because I want to stop those things. I don't want those things to happen to our kids in school. And I think that battle has left the college campuses now and has come directly to our high schools as well.
Man, that's scary. Bobby, thank you so much for stopping by. And you're about to go on, so I hope it goes well.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one. And we also have Mrs. Johansson, Amy Johansson. She premiered, I think, Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday.
Sunday evening at 10 p.m.
Oh, Sunday. Y'all are. Wait a minute. You're place 2.
Place 2.
Okay,
Sunday evening.
Man, these days have gone by. So, you had a chance to see. One of the biggest disappointments, obviously, is the fact that only 2 of you showed up, and we understand why. I mean, obviously, there's only 2 conservatives running. But when you look at, I guess let's just talk turkey. One of my biggest concerns as a conservative is that both you and Dalton, good candidates. You're both conservatives. I worry that you'll split the vote. Is that a worry to you at all?
Sure, absolutely it is. And I wish that we were in that position.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but I think that we still have a number of conservative taxpayers and parents in the district who want to align with another conservative taxpayer and parent in the district. So, sure, it's a concern, but I have to run my race. I can't focus on what anyone else is doing.
No, of course not. Of course not. And I'm just kind of armchair quarterbacking right now. And I think that what's neat about both of your campaigns is you guys are so positive, and you do have a positive message. What do you see the biggest difference between? Let's just talk the conservatives between you and Dalton, for instance. What do you think the biggest differences are besides your age?
Besides age, obviously life experience.
Sure.
I've raised 5 children, and I've been actively involved in this community for a number of years. I just don't think that he has as much life experience as I do, and as much experience even serving at the community level, at the city level, at the county level, because it's different than serving, in a high school or in a college. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a property owner, which he is not. I have a voter record in Rockwall County, and he doesn't have a voter record in Rockwall County. So I think that matters. When it comes to who am I going to cast my vote for that's going to best represent me, then I think that matters.
I've always said that actions do speak louder than words, and I judge people not by what they say, but what they do. And so it is easier. I do admit that it is easier to see your track record, for instance, as a voter, as a mom, and just because of his age, you don't have that benefit. So I think that's that in that respect, I think that's a good point that you're making as far as experience, especially with your life experience and what you bring to the board. So, is there anything that you wish you would have said that you didn't during the show?
During the interview?
Yeah, during the interview.
Not necessarily. I don't think that I touched on the fact that I was a business owner. So while I was raising a family,
that's
I
true.
also grew and sold a successful business. So I have experience reading a profit and loss statement, an income statement, a balance sheet, and I understand the challenges that are associated with that. While also raising a family, so I think it's very important to put that out there. So if you have any further questions for me, please feel to reach out. I would love the opportunity to earn your vote.
Well, thank you. And, that's my fault. We did brush into it on the bio, but you're right. We never really talked about it. I'm sorry that we didn't, but I appreciate you bringing that up.
Sure.
Well, I wish you the very best. You're about to go on, so I hope it goes well. All right.
So much.
Take care. Obviously, it's fun to have candidates who are coming by, and this is the state. This is the race for board, school board, and we also have another candidate, Clarence Joraff, who is going to be premiering hopefully next Tuesday. Now, I haven't told my producer yet. You can come on up. I haven't told my producer yet, but I may have to push that back. Here's the thing. It took me about 18 hours to edit the Duran Cluis interview, and that's because some people talk more than others. And Mrs. Duran, she has a lot to say. So there was a lot to look at. I got 4 candidates, and one candidate in particular loves to talk, and that, of course, is Mr. Jorf. It is great to see you, man. I'm giving you a hard time because you're going to be putting me in I'm going to be in interim a long time because you had here's the problem. Just like with Ms. Duran, a lot of good things to say, and I've got an hour to, I got to cut so much. So I say it with all love.
It comes down to quality content. Getting the word out to affect the voters in Rockwall, letting them know that they have someone that's going to be their voice for the issues that mean the most to them. So I would love to be that person because I'm not a wallflower. I've had challenges throughout my whole career. Decorated veteran, law enforcement, Secret Service, back over at the county sheriff's office now. I fight the fight to win. And I'll do that for the voters of Rockwall.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I'm most regretful about is there was so much good content, and I ask this of every candidate, but I do hope that if and when you're elected, you'll come back on the show so that we can have more conversations that are not edited. We can do it live, and you can just go.
You have no doubt about that. I'd be more than happy to do so.
Really, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
I hope you have a great time tonight.
Getting ready to go do it now.
Yes, sir, you are. All right, well, this is, obviously there's a lot of candidates who are running, but Rockwall City Council obviously has 5 candidates running. 4 of the candidates were willing to sit in the bunker, and that's because I think that they were willing to say that they're willing, that they want the conservative vote, and one obviously chose not to. I'm not sure if they're going to be here tonight. But I want to go back over actually, I want to talk one more school board candidate, and of course, this is Dalton Tassett. Dalton, it is good to see you tonight. It's going great. So, how did people respond to you being on the show? Did people feel like you did a good job?
They loved it.
Yeah.
They thought it was more authentic, and they're not politicians. So
no, you're not.
Canned answers, but I just spoke from the heart. And I think people saw that in the interview. And I didn't know all the answers to everything, but I don't think I know.
Right, no, that's absolutely right.
I'm working hard, and I've got a lot of support from the community. And if you look in the building right now, there's a lot of shirts, of Dalton shirts, and a lot of Dalton signs everywhere. So it's, I keep telling people, either you join the Dalton train or you'll get run over. So, that's just how it is.
So I just had Amy on a few minutes ago, and one of the things I told her, I said, well, I regret the fact that we didn't have the 3rd candidate there, but we understand why. There's 2 candidates, conservatives running, obviously you and Amy, and
He
but
voted for Biden, so
and what?
He voted for Biden, so there's that issue. He's a conservative and lifelong Republican, but you vote for Biden, so I don't know how that works.
So I didn't know that he voted for Biden. Not surprised.
Well, he did like the Trump terrorists.
Okay.
So that was the reason. So,
okay.
Conscience,
Yeah.
I vote conscience.
Right. Well, in principle, right?
Principle.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. And so, it looks like we've got the city. You need to get in there. I wish you the very best. Hope you have fun.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm having fun. A lot of excitement. A lot of energy. Right?
Yes, it is. That's right.
Good seeing you.
All right. Do well, Dalton. And of course, that's Dalton Tassett, place 2. And it was great to have him and Amy with me. And I hope that you had the chance to watch that interview as well. It looks as though the school board is about to go on. How much time do we have? Okay, come on up. I got one more candidate that I would like to talk to. That, of course, is Paul Day. Paul is his interview is going to be on. Hopefully, well, I want to try to get it Saturday, but I'm just telling you, there's a lot of work to do on these in the editing booth. It takes a long time, and so I want to do it. Well, it may not be Saturday. It may be Monday, but okay. You had the opportunity to talk about open spaces, and when we did the interview, the vote for high density development that violated the city's 1.5 acres had not happened. But your opponent, who is not here tonight, that of course is the Rhino Trudy Wester, she voted for the high density development and why? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I honestly,
I have a lot to say about it. I mean, low taxes are, low density. I mean, that's the connection that exists there. And of course, if you're a socialist, low density is poison for your lifestyle, right? So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, it looks like the school board is on, so we're going to switch over to them. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you. I'm sorry. I want to talk more. So,
I am running for Rockwall City
that'd be great.
Council. It is my pleasure to do so. My
Okay,
family
good.
moved here in 2002 when I was in 8th grade. I grew up in Rockwall, and I graduated from Rockwall High School. The Rockwall Community and Organizations donated almost $20,000 in scholarship when I went to college. I consider that not a gift, but an investment. And it's not just an investment in me, but an investment in the future of our communities and an investment in the future of our city, state, and country. So I'm very proud to run for office, and I look forward to answering the questions that come up. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go right down the road. Mr. Welch, you're next.
Thank you for standing, because that was going to be one of the things I want to see people. I want those in the back to be able to see me. When Clarence stands, he can sit down and everybody see him. Not a problem. My name is Jerry Welch. I am currently serving Rockwall as Vice Chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee. I have been on that for nearly 4 years. I also have been on, actually chaired our CPAC, which is our long-range planning. And it takes a plan for Rockwall and what we want Rockwall to look like all the way to the year 2040. So I am excited about the opportunity to continue to serve on a little different side. Planning and zoning has been great. The problem with planning and zoning is we're typically more of an up or a down as opposed to a solution. I have got, as you can tell by looking at me, I've got many years of experience, and I'd like to be a solution solver and see if we can help the citizens as well as the city. Thank you.
Well, we knew this was coming, and as a surprise, I hate boundaries. My name is Clarence Shorf. I'm running for Rockwall City Council Place 3. I've been a public servant for my whole life. That started off in military uniform, as a decorated Army officer, as a police officer in Arlington, Virginia, as a Secret Service agent. You elected them, I protected them. And last but not least, I'm still continuing to serve with the County Sheriff's Office. Rockwall is special to all of us. Rockwall is special to me and my family, of which I have my 2 daughters here. We run as a team, we run as a pack. I want to run and lead your pack. How do I do that? By keeping you safe, by helping this city grow responsibly, and by business development. Everybody likes lower taxes. Businesses help contribute to that. Please elect me as your next city councilman. Thank you.
Mr. Dennis Lewis, 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm Dennis Lewis. I'm running for Rockwall City Council because I have a heart and a passion for public service and work in the nonprofit sector. And those aren't hollow words. I put those words into action. I'm president of Meals on Wheels Senior Services of Rockwall County. I'm a co-teacher of a life group at Lake Point Church. I'm teaching this Sunday, actually. I'm a former mayor pro tem of the city of Rockwall, former city councilman in the city of Rockwall from 2012 2018. I termed it out in 2018. I'm a former planning and zoning commissioner in the city of Rockwall. And there's 3 reasons people want to live, work, play, and retire in Rockwall. And that's a small town, hometown feel, the quality of life, and the school district. I'm committed to all 3 of those. Quality of life concerns a lot of things. Law enforcement, fire department, proper planning for growth, infrastructure, physical responsibility, and trying to do something about our traffic congestion, which you'll see me in the corner down there. There are major road projects coming to Rockwall in the next 6-7 years, and I go through those.
Mr. Ron Smith, you have 1 minute. You can just hold the microphone because you'll be first on tap for the first question.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Doing well? Okay, good. This is kind of long. I get it. A little boring, maybe. Listen to everybody talk. I'm Ron Smith, running for City Council, Rockwall, place number 3. A little history about me. I was a DeSoto police officer for 33 years. I retired in 2015 as a police captain. I'm a graduate of FBI National Academy. And it's the first time I've run for anything. So if I get things wrong, please use that. That's like a knowledge on my part. We moved here in 2015 after I retired. Currently, I'm a part-time deputy marshal for the city of Mesquite. My wife Dawn and I have 4 children, 9 grandchildren. The newest one joined us March 1st, and we'll talk later.
All right, Mr. Smith, you're going to start off, and we're going to go right back down the table in reverse order that we just came. Our first question for the candidates: what are your thoughts on the current high-density residential communities being developed in Rockwall? 7 to 10 houses to an acre. Would you be willing to propose changes to the master plan that provide for these?
Well, thank you for the question. Truthfully, I like more space. That's my position. Would I be willing to tell you? Be willing to listen. I'll always listen. Like people have told me I'm a good listener. So I will listen to what their argument is. I may or may not agree with it, but I will listen. But I do like more space. I give Chris my time.
All right, Mr. Lewis, same question. What are your thoughts on the current high-density residential communities being developed in Rockwall? Would you be willing to propose changes to the master plan that provide for these?
Yes, and it's a good question because we're starting to go through a revision to our comprehensive plan right now. So be sure and get your input into that. I think it's important to get input from the citizens and what kind of housing that they like. I agree with Ron. I like bigger spaces. So it is important to get your input on it, though. The comprehensive plan is going on, but I am in favor of bigger lots and less density.
All right, Mr. George, what are your thoughts on the current high-density residential communities being developed in Rockwall? Would you be willing to propose changes to the master plan that provide for these? You've got 2 minutes.
We live in Rockwall, and many of us came to Rockwall for the ability to have a home, have some land around it, without sitting piled on top of someone. Don't hold this against me. Born and grew up in New York City. Paste picante sauce, you know, a little nice story. But the bottom line is, we bought our homes, we're here, we want room. The developers are doing a good thing. They're bringing opportunities for growth, for new residential areas, but we don't need to live on top of each other. We need to maintain these land sizes that we have that have been proposed because it allows us to live free and live by our own means. Neighbors are good, but a good neighbor is a good fence too, remember? Again, with that in mind, yes, we need to make sure that the Rockwall is being developed according to that master plan. There may be some variances, but there's no reason to go outside of those variances. Thank you.
Mr. Welch, same question. What are your thoughts on the current high-density residential communities being developed in Rockwall? Would you be willing to propose changes to the master plan to provide for these?
Well, hopefully I won't be able to provide those changes because I hope to be sitting on the city council, which would preclude me from being the president of, or the chair of that particular committee. And that particular plan limits, the minimum lot size in Rockwall now is 60 feet. Plus, we have extended the setback, building setback on the sides from 5 feet to 6 feet. We've also put a setback on the front garage from 20 to 25 feet. There are reasons behind these things. I think what probably most people don't understand about the plan, and we've sought for feedback, and now is definitely a good time, is when a developer or a builder comes in, they get credit for flood zone, they get credit for putting in a park, for open space and green space, and I think that's where people are seeing the number of homes per acre are larger than they expect, but you have to look at it as a whole. You can't look at it in just one section. I'm a realtor, and I will tell you, not everyone wants a half an acre. I've got a lot of folks, and they're sick and tired of mowing the grass. Matter of fact, some of them would be happy with 50 foot, but in my thinking, I think we're good at 60. We might need to tweak some of the adjustments, but we've got some great builders, and we've got builders that are coming in with a high-quality product. I think that's one of the key things that we want to continue and strive for, is we want quality construction and we want great citizens. Matter of fact, I think every one of them should take a conservative test before they move here. And if they don't pass, next.
Okay, same question for Ms. Bento. What are your thoughts on the current high-density residential communities being developed in Rockwall? Would you be willing to propose changes to the master plan that provide for these? You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you. The first thing that comes to mind is Dixie Chicks. I'm not the only one who forgot wide open spaces, and we like that in Rockwall. Rockwall is a small town feel for a reason, and that's because we have space for our homes, we have space for living, we have space to enjoy the environment and the God-given grasslands that we have here in our town. And in order to ensure that your elected officials, including myself when I sit on city council, have to represent that, especially whenever we make changes to the master plan. So I look forward to representing our community. And the first part of changes to the master plan is going to you, going to the residents and asking, how do you see the future of our town? How do you see it growing and how do you see it developing? So I want to keep that in mind as I continue to serve my community. Thank you.
Okay, the second question, here's the order. Listen closely, you're going to be passing the microphone back and forth. The second question, the order is going to be Welch, Smith, Lewis, Bento, and Jorath. So we've got Mr. Welch, 2 minutes. The question is, do you own property in Rockwall?
Yes. You ever heard of a politician answering with one word?
Mr. Smith, same question. Do you own property in Rockwall?
Do I own property in Rockwall? The answer is yes.
Mr. Lewis, do you own property in Rockwall?
Yes, I do, and have for many years.
Ms. Bento, do you own property in Rockwall?
This poor millennial does not.
And Mr. Jorath, do you own property in Rockwall?
It's not going to be a short answer. Yes, I do. I'm the proud owner of a home here in Rockwall and Stone Creek. I'm also a property owner for a business development that's coming up in Rockwall County. Why did we pick Rockwall? Because of that small town feel. Because of all of you. I remember the little one when we first got here walking through DFW. We came from California. That was my last assignment, Secret Service. But don't hold that against me. It was supposed to be a 3-year tour, kind of like Gilligan's Island 3-hour tour. 9 years later, but we got out. Coming through the airport, lady walks up to her and she pulls back to Dad and is like, people are nice here. Made a big difference for them. I'm proud to be a property owner here. I'm proud to be your neighbor. I'm proud to live and have a business here. Once again, the businesses strive because of you. Let's keep on keeping Rockwall being Rockwall.
Okay, on our third question, we're going to start with Mr. Lewis. The order is going to go Lewis, Jorath, Bento, Smith, and Welch. We're going to see if y'all can follow that. I'll do that one more time just so we're good. Lewis, Jorath, Bento, Smith, Welch. Here's the question. What opportunities or problems do you see coming to Rockwall from the big Lagoon development across the lake in Rowlett? How can Rockwall prepare for them? Mr. Lewis, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm an Aggie, and they make fun of Aggies, but did you hear the order of all of this? Could that be more confusing? So anyway, you know, number one, the big Lagoon development across the lake has been talked about for years. It was supposed to happen, it's starting to stop, and I'm still doubting that all that's going to happen, number one thing. One thing that has helped us in that regard is private developers getting a hold of the harbor. You know, I don't know if you know the whole story of the Harbor District, but the government took it over from the original developer, which that probably should have never happened. And when I was on the council, the government basically ran that development into the ground. I called them multiple times. Never got any phone call from my own government representatives that were running that development. So I think the development of the harbor is a good counteraction to the Big Lagoon development. I'm still skeptical that Big Lagoon development is going to happen like they say it is. There's a lot of road construction going to happen in Rockwall right around that area starting next year as a result of that development. I don't see that as that big a drag on our economy or that big a drag on our realtors. I mean, our retail people. We're a different animal over here than they are over there. And so I don't see it being as big a competition as it should. We've already prepared for that by our retail development, the retail development on Interstate 30, by the redoing of downtown, which was a phenomenal deal. And so I think we've already prepared for that. We've got great retail development down I-30 and downtown. So I think we're ready for them.
Mr. Jorth, same question. What opportunities or problems do you see coming to Rockwall from the Big Lagoon development across the lake in Rowlett? How can Rockwall prepare for them? You've got 2 minutes.
I'm an Army guy. I can count. I never take off my shoes to get to 10 or 20. With that having been said, development is good. That development will benefit Rockwall. They will bring their money to Rockwall. That will benefit us as a whole. But we need to make sure that our public safety is up to par to deal with the potential problems that it may also bring with it. The development's going to be good, but the others that come with it to take advantage and prey upon people will continue to force its way east. We need to make sure that we have our public safety officials, fire, EMS, and police department ready to deal with those issues by giving them the resources they need to take care of themselves and at the same time to keep us safe. Our infrastructure, as Dennis mentioned, needs to be able to sustain that increased movement coming back and forth. And last but not least, the businesses that were mentioned, they're here to support that growth, so it's going to be a mano kind of thing. They benefit, we benefit, but we have to do so smartly.
All right, same question to Ms. Bento. What opportunities or problems do you see coming to Rockwall from the Big Lagoon development across the lake in Rowlett? How can Rockwall prepare for them? You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you. We know the lagoon's coming, it's here. So I think that the city needs to be prepared in various ways, including infrastructure and transportation. I think that those are going to be the top items that we need to address. Lord forbid anything occur on the bridge. If anything occurs, now we're landlocked. So transportation and the infrastructure of that transportation is at the top of the list. As also mentioned, public safety is a big thing. We're not the small town we were where folks used to leave their doors open and go to sleep at night. So we need to ensure that not only do we support our public safety officers, but we as strengthened communities support each other. And we look out for each other. We have each other's backs as development and growth continues to occur here in our town. Thank you.
Same question to Mr. Smith. What opportunities or problems do you see coming to Rockwall from the Big Lagoon development across the lake in Rowlett? How can Rockwall prepare for them?
Well, I agree, the opportunity, we will get more customers for our businesses. More tax dollars go into our bank accounts. I do see a problem with some of that. With more people, you get more crime. I'm a living test, I've seen it. Firsthand, I have seen that. So get ready, it's coming. We need to prepare for it. We need to do things with our police department. We need to get them up to par. We need somebody that can represent us. I'm that person. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Same question to Mr. Welch. What opportunities or problems do you see coming to Rockwall from the Big Lagoon development across the lake in Rowlett? How can Rockwall prepare for them? You've got 2 minutes.
The Big Lagoon is called Sapphire Bay, which is on the south side, which is the peninsula that sticks out. 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was an article that came out showing, I think it's Hyatt, that is going to be the anchor hotel. Rockwall, all of a sudden, developed 5 new hotels coming into town. I asked the developers with the hotel several times, Is it because we're nearly at 50,000, or are you bringing the hotels because you're wanting runoff from the Sapphire Bay? At that time, it was Bayside. They never really would admit, but I think that we're seeing a lot that's going to spill over, which is going to be good for Rockwall, good for our tax base. And if you look, we wouldn't be having I-30 expansion, and we wouldn't be having 2 feeder bridges coming from Down Rock across the lake to here. Right, when the bridge gets a wreck, you're hosed. But the great thing is when we have some feeder bridges, my grandkids will be able to run across. I doubt if I will. And as far as crime, Miss Kidna Culpepper just sentenced a guy to 40 years for doing some drugs in Rockwall. I don't think they want to come across the lake. At 750 and below, Dallas doesn't even prosecute. I think Kendall needs to put a sign up. Rockwall prosecutes.
Thank you, Mr. Welch. Okay, now's the time for our summations, our closing remarks. This is going to go straight across the table. Bento, Welch, Jorah, Lewis, Smith. Ms. Bento, you have 2 minutes to close it down.
Thank you. Again, my name is Dr. Priscilla Bento, and I am running for Rockwall City Council, Place 3. It's an honor to run for Rockwall City Council and focus on 5 policy points, including public safety, public services, infrastructure, development, and strengthening our neighborhoods. I look young, but I'm not that young, and my experience is vast. I have experience working in local politics, local policy. I have experience in Texas law, Texas Public Information Act, Texas Elections Act, and so on and so forth. But the biggest and most important thing that I am an expert of is my Rockwall community. I grew up here, I graduated here, and I look forward to contributing to the community I love. And before I finish, I want to also thank my mother and father. They are here, and they are immigrants from Brazil. The reason I am a first-generation American is because of the sacrifice that we made. So, thank you.
Remember that no question? That got me another 2 minutes. I'm keeping it. No, okay. My name's Jerry Welch. I am a realtor here in Rockwall. My wife and I moved here in 2013 chasing grandkids. We've got 2 fantastic grandkids, and we live directly across the street from them and spoil them every opportunity that we get. I did not know anyone other than family when I moved to Rockwall in 2013. And I got involved with the chamber, with Miss Dana Mclendon, and the city of Rockwall took me in and my family just like we were natives. It is incredible, the welcoming and the openness. When I first got here, one of my first things to do was the Citizens Police Academy. Loved it. Finished that, went over to the Citizens Firefighter Academy. If you're interested in either one of those are fantastic opportunities to get to know more about your city, about the respect that those people deserve. They are fantastic. Currently, I serve on the board of Rainbow Room. I'd like to spend about 30 minutes and give you a little dissertation on Rainbow Room, what we do, how we help the kids, but we don't have that time because this mean lady with the lights keeps flickering them. My years on planning and zoning, on the CPAC, is going to allow me to hit the ground running when I get on city council. I have been, I would venture to say, at 80% of the city council meetings over the last 5 years. If I wasn't there in person, I was there on video. Hey, I do real estate. I'm looking out for my best interest because the more I know about this great city, the better I can sell it to those people coming in. Thank you very much. Jerry Welch, Place 3, Rockwall City Council.
George, you have 2 minutes to close it.
Switch sides back over here on the tennis match. I'm the one candidate without compromise. My dog in this fight is you. What I do on a daily basis in my service to this country, wearing a uniform, wearing a police uniform, wearing plain clothes, is for you. That's what I bring to you as your city councilman. It's about people, it's about growing this community, it's about maintaining and safeguarding this community. It takes guidance. 38 plus years. 38 plus years. Yes, I have a master's in public administration with a concentration in public safety and emergency planning or preparedness. That's something on paper. It's the actions speak louder than words. The added accolades of having a degree and having learned this and that, I've applied every day of my life for the last 38 plus years. I will continue to do that for you. What matters to you the most in Rockwall? Ask yourselves that question. What matters the most? We hear the tagline, live, work, play, and in most cases, raise our families in a safe environment. Provide them the education that they need. Make good citizens out of them. As a conservative Christian, I value those values, and I do that in everything I do every day. There may be times that we don't agree, but let's agree to disagree. But I will be your voice. That's why I couldn't sit behind the table here and then pay no attention to the man behind the green screen, like the Wizard of Oz. My voice will be your voice. It will be loud, it will be clear, and you will always know where I stand without any compromise of anything else. I will work for you, given that opportunity. Thank you.
You have 2 minutes.
You know, in my mind, the number one responsibility and role of the city council is the safety of our citizens. We've got a great police department. We've got a great fire department. We need to continue to make sure they have the resources, equipment, and personnel and staff that they need to do their job. And we've seen all across the country in the last year, city councils that do not feel that responsibility. We see what's happening. And when we elect city council members, we're electing them to look after our best interests. I didn't lose sight of that when I served before. I haven't lost sight of it since. I know who I serve. And experience matters. Business experience matters. City council experience matters to handle some of the things you've seen in these questions today. And the other things that come up, the tough things that got to be decided here in the near future in the city of Rockwall, experience matters. Next year, we're going to have a new city councilman for sure again next year, because John Hohenschild's rolling on. 2 incumbents will be up for re-election, and I think they'll win, but if the challenger gets in there, we're going to have more than one. Experience matters. My lovely bride is standing right underneath this exit sign over here. And she and I have been married for 42 years, 42 and a half years to be exact. We have 3 kids, 6 grandchildren. We moved to Rockwall in 1993. We're invested in this community. We're invested in this community. I would be honored to have your vote. I'd appreciate your vote. It's Dennis Lewis, as you can tell, I'm the 4th one on the ballot. Okay, so I'd be honored and appreciative to have your vote.
Mr. Smith, you've got 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
I'll move out here this time. All right, it's getting near the end. We're almost done, folks. Hang in there just a little bit longer. Thank you for letting me bend your ear. I'm running for city council, please. Number 3, please vote for me if you get the opportunity. I've been a public servant pretty much all my life. I'm going to continue to do that. The current council doesn't have any police or fire person on the council. I think it's time we did. I'm that person. I've been in Rockwall since 2015. I'm a new guy. But I'm here. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to represent you. I'm ready to talk with you. I'm ready to do what you need me to do. So please vote for me. I'm done. Thank you.
All right, that concludes the Rockwall City Council candidates. We're going to do a
So that is the Rockwall City Council candidates, and obviously you got to hear from all 5 that were here tonight. So that was good. You're going to see 4 of the 5 on the show. Hopefully, we'll get that posted either Tuesday or Wednesday. But a lot to edit there. But also with me right now is City Council candidate Val Bodart. Val, it's great to have you. You and I sat down for an interview, and will be that will be posted. It's scheduled to post Saturday. It may end up being Monday. I'm just warning you guys. There's a lot to edit, but you gave a great interview. Your opponent obviously didn't want to show up because obviously the show's for conservatives. What did you tonight? You had a chance to talk a little bit about the open space vote. And tell me a little bit about that.
About what codes and ordinances need to be changed or updated, and I said, well, we need a city council that will follow the ones that we already have written, and that if I had the chance to be at this past city council meeting, I would have been very vocal about my opposition to it. And it was a 2-to-1 vote. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's 5 members of council. Only 2 were there, and so it was 3 were there, and right, that's right. So that is a very important point. You have a conservative, Brian, good friend of yours. He is the one conservative who continues to vote no, and so we need another conservative. Val, I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for stopping by, and don't forget to see her show coming up. And next, great candidate Jerry Welch is running for city council. You just heard him talk a little bit, and great to see you, sir.
Good seeing you, Bob.
Yes, sir. And so, you had the chance. This is really the first time that all 5 of you have been together, right?
Yes.
In a forum like this. What do you think the biggest difference between you and the other 4 candidates are?
Oh, only a minute, huh? I mean, if you look, I think all of the candidates could do a great job. You look at experience, you look at the level of commitment. I mean, I have sat through numerous city council meetings for the last 5 years, and I know where the city's going.
Yeah.
I know the issues, I know the people. Being on the planning and zoning has given me such a great background. And the CPAC, I mean, knowing the way that we expect the city to be laid out and run between now and 2040, yes, we can tweak it, we can make adjustments. It says in there, it is a guideline.
Yeah.
Guidelines can be adjusted.
Yeah.
But I feel like I am one of the best candidates that can hit the ground running based on what's happening today and pull it forward.
Awesome. Jerry, thank you for stopping by. I wish
Certainly.
you the very best. And as I ask all the candidates, I hope that if and when you are elected, you'll come back on the show. We can talk more freely live about what's going on in Rockwall.
Absolutely. I'm a ham when it comes to cameras. Not a problem.
Thanks. Great to see you. And so we also have another city council candidate, Dr. Bento. She was also willing to be on the show, and so one of the 4, and so of course that show's gonna be hopefully Tuesday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. There's a lot there, a lot to talk about.
Yes.
What did you take away from tonight? How did you think it went?
I think it went well. I think that we had a great turnout. I'm happy that you're here to also get the turnout and
Yes.
reaching out to people.
Yeah.
So I think it went great. I think that we have some amazing candidates.
No question.
I hope to be the candidate that wins, but I know that if the Lord determines something else, we're in good hands.
So how is the campaign going?
The campaign is going well.
Yeah.
The community is very open.
Mhm.
The community is excited for a new council member to come in and represent them. And the opportunity is there. We're at the precipice of change. And so it's an exciting moment here.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for stopping by, Dr. Bento. I wish you the very best. Hope you have a great time campaigning. Although sometimes campaigning for a lot of people is not fun, but these candidates, what I love about Rockwall County and Rockwall, the city of Rockwall, is just how much fun people have. And of course, no one has more fun than Dennis here. It is great to see you, sir.
You're right. You get two Aggies together.
That's so true. Oh my goodness. So you had a chance to talk tonight. How do you, I mean, gosh, 5 candidates. What do you think the biggest difference between them and you, beside having the prestige of being an Aggie?
Well, and that's a big difference. That's a big plus. But, I mean, we've lived here the longest of anybody. And we've been invested in this community longer than anybody running for city council in place 3.
Wow.
My wife and I, of course, me having previously served in the city council, I've got the experience, I got the business experience to make it work. And they're good people. Everybody running is good people.
Yeah.
And
we saw that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody that's running is good people, but experience matters. Experience matters.
Okay. And so, how is the campaign going?
The campaign is going very well, actually.
Yeah.
It's going very well. We had a little bit of slow start. You and I talked about this a little bit, but my wife is getting married in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And
your daughter.
My daughter.
Not your wife.
My wife.
It's okay. I'm sure she's glad to be married to you still.
But my daughter. Excuse me. My daughter got married in Hawaii on March 18th. We went the 15th, stayed through the 25th. So I was a little bit behind. We were campaigning, but my main focus had to be on my daughter.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Since we've been back, it has been 900 miles an hour. People have been very receptive to us. They're taking our signs, they're calling, they're texting, offering encouragement. It's been going very well.
Fantastic. Well, I wish you the very best.
Well, thank
you for
sir.
stopping by the way.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
The opportunity.
Yes, sir. And we're going to go back inside to the school board race. So I'll send it back.
Councilman, you have 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Frank Consulman. I'm running for school board place 2. I believe I'm the best candidate for this position because of my business experience, because of my strong family values, and because of my community service. I started my business 20 years ago out of my garage. Now I have a 20,000 square foot warehouse. We do multi-million-dollar annual sales. I know how to run a business. I know how to run a budget. I know how to make cuts when necessary. I have strong family values. I've been married to my wife for 26 years. We have 4 kids. All of them have started in kindergarten at RSD. 2 have graduated, and 2 are currently in RSD. My community service, I've been on the board of directors for the Rockwall Rotary Club and the YMCA, and I served as president of both those organizations. And I've been a youth coach for over 17 years. And I appreciate the opportunity to earn your vote today.
Mr. Tassett, you have 1 minute.
Hello, my name is Dalton Tassett, and I'm running for school board position 2. Have you ever seen a school board race like this? All the energy, all the excitement. Well, I'm bringing that to the school system. I have experienced so much in Rockwall ISD. I've been born and raised in this community. My values are from this community. I am a huge part of our community and what we stand for and our beliefs, and I'm going to the board to fight for that. I've experienced so much in the school system when it comes to, when I was graduating high school in 2016, we did an in-school election. It was against Donald Trump versus Hillary, and Donald Trump won in that election by a landslide victory. And they didn't announce it because they were afraid to offend the students and teachers who voted for Hillary Clinton. So I experienced so many things in the school system, and it's time that someone stands up against this and fights for our values. And my experience is a student. I have on-the-job experience. I don't own a business, I don't have children, I don't own property, but the whole point of the school board is to represent our community and our values, and I will be that on the school board.
Mr. Hennessy, you have 1 minute.
Hi there, I'm Amy Johannesen, running for Rockwall ISD School Board Place 2. I'm a mother of 5. I've raised 5 children in this district. 1 has already graduated out. 1 will, Lord willing, graduate this year. He's a tough one. And I have 3 small children. My twins are RHS class of 2037. So I'm long-term investment plans here. I'm invested in the future of Rockwall ISD. I served in the community in a variety of ways. Rockwall Women's League, the Republican Women's Club. I've been an active member of the Veterans Business Association, the Patriot Business Alliance. While raising my family, I also grew and successfully sold a Rockwall County business. So I know how to read a balance sheet, a profit and loss statement. I really would appreciate the opportunity to earn your vote tonight. And I want you to know that you can trust me with your children and with your tax dollars.
Hello, my name is Linda Duran, and I'm a Rockwall. I love this community. I grew up here. My children grew up here. I was a counselor here. I am committed to this community in every way you can possibly imagine. And I give pro bono tutoring. Many of you know that. I've done it for some of you in here. Pro bono counseling. Many of you know that. I've done it for some of you in here. I'm committed to our community and to education. Everybody here knows my values. I'm a strong Christian woman, and that's how I am. That's just who I am. And I will serve this community with everything in my being. I hope you'll consider me to remain in place 3 on the school board. Thank you.
Ms. Close, you have 1 minute for your introduction.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and let you get to know me a little bit better. My name is Jill Cluess. I'm running for School Board Trustee Place 3. I have lived in Rockwall for 20 years. I grew up in Garland, so just right across the lake, learned how to water ski on Lake Ray Hubbard. This is my area. You guys are my people, so I love Rockwall just as much as everyone here, because if you didn't love Rockwall, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. So we all love Rockwall. I do have 2 kids. They both grew up through the Rockwall system. My son is 24. He graduated in Rockwall High School in 2014. And then I have a 15-year-old daughter that's a sophomore at Rockwall High School. So I do have a vested interest, and that is one of the reasons why I'm running. I want to be the parents' voice here. So thank you very much.
Okay, our first question is going to be 2 minutes per candidate. We're going to start at this end and work our way right back to my right, your left. Ms. Cluess, the question is for you. Are you for or against students wearing masks to school? State the reason for your answer.
Against students. I know in the beginning it was a tough decision. Nobody knew what was going on. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the turmoil and the sleepless nights that the board probably went through. Not probably, I know they did. Trying to decide what was the safest way to get through the pandemic. We're at a point now that we have therapeutics. We understand that the students aren't the carriers of this disease. Kids don't wear their masks right anyway. I believe in N95 masks. Those work. The cloth masks really do not work. I believe it is a hindrance to our children. I think that there is a mental problem that we are going to have with our kids. So I'm absolutely against masks, and I'm glad to see that there is hopefully an end date coming up June 1st, and that's my position on masks.
Ms. Duran, you have 2 minutes, the same question. Are you for or against students wearing masks to school? State the reasons for your answer.
We all hate these masks. We do. We hate them. They're horrible. We didn't want them. We don't want them. And now we've set an end date. We are getting to the end. We just wanted to do it safely. I'm going to be real honest with you. If teachers could have been vaccinated earlier, this would be a non-issue. It'd be over with already. And we are getting them vaccinated. They're offering to go, and they are getting it done. But it takes like 6 weeks to get fully vaccinated. So we have to do it safely, and we are going to do it safely. And nobody wants to do that. We have to take care of all of our people, and that's what we're doing. Now, I don't like the mask any more than anybody else. I can't even tell you what it does to my skin. But I do it because I care about other people. We listen to our doctors in Rockwall and our health authority in Rockwall. And we have an end date, and we're looking forward to the year 21, this coming school year, 2021, and getting back to normal. That is our goal, as safely and quickly and expeditiously as possible. Thank you.
Ms. Johannesson, same question. Are you for or against students wearing masks to school? State the reason for your answer.
First of all, I'm a constitutional conservative, and I absolutely believe that it should be every individual's rights, and particularly every parent's right, to decide whether or not their child should be forced to wear a mask at any time. We do not currently have a mask mandate in the state of Texas, in Rockwall County, nor in the city of Rockwall, but yet we're still masking our children in Rockwall ISD. And that is something that is being forced upon them. Our parental rights have been taken away from us by Rockwall ISD making this decision. And I am opposed to our children wearing masks in school. Thank you.
Mr. Tassett, 2 minutes, same question. Are you for or against students wearing masks at school? State the reason for your answer.
I stand against anyone who is in power and who's drunk with it. We need people in office who understand what the community wants, the values of our community. If you want to wear a mask, that's your choice. But whatever happened to American freedom? Do we still live in the United States of America? I mean, when you're having people force masks upon the children, force masks upon every single person in businesses, on planes, on the school buses, I mean, at what point do we say enough's enough? At what point do the people stand up in this country and say, you know what? It's time for us to stand up and be the voice of our values in this country. I have seen so much happen in this country, and I fear for the people, for my future. I fear for my children's future. I fear for what freedoms are we going to take away in the future of this country. I'm doing this because I'm 22 years old. Yes, I'm young. Everyone knows that if you go on Facebook, yes, everyone's criticizing me because I'm young. Well, guess what? I'm full of energy. I'm ready to see change, and I will be the change that we all need in this country. Because someone needs to stand up for our values. Someone needs to say enough is enough. And I'm ready for it. I am putting all my effort into this campaign and talking to everyone in this community because the people know what we need. I think the people are smart and they can outweigh the risk themselves. I have been reached out to by so many people who are amazing in our community and who are ready to see someone young stand up for the values. Like Mr. Ivy said earlier, he is ready to see someone young and excited and get involved in local politics, and I will be that person. It is time. And everyone agrees with it. And I think that we all just need to get together and say enough's enough, and let's stand up for our values, and let's fight for our freedoms. It's very simple.
Mr. Councilman, same question. Are you for or against students wearing masks to school? State the reason for your answer. You've got 2 minutes.
Well, as of June 1st, this is really a non-issue. This wouldn't even be an issue if our teachers have been given the chance to be vaccinated first. I want to protect our teachers, protect our students. I believe that, thank you. I believe that we have to keep the promise we made to our teachers. We're almost there. We just need to finish the year. And as of June 1st, the masks are gone. Thank you.
Mr. Galana, same question. Are you for or against students wearing masks to school? State the reason for your answer. You've got 2 minutes.
Okay, I would say that in the beginning, I know that none of us knew what we were dealing with, and so the masks appeared, and okay. But as we've gone on, we understand the science, and we understand that kids don't transmit this really, that they have a nearly 99.8% survival rate with this. Look, the masks have to end now. And I know that a lot of people are pushing to say, well, we can return to normal school in the fall. But what are our kids learning about what can be taken away from them between now and then, right? And just to update you a bit, I think you know my stance is I'm against the masks, but just to update you a bit, we did pass a resolution that said that we were going to end the mask mandate June 1st, but then we turned around and gave the power back to the superintendent to reimpose that mandate at his will at any time that they want. So did we really end it, or did we really open a window to continue it?
Question to Ms. Packer. Are you for or against students wearing masks to school? State the reason for your answer. You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you. I too hate the mask. I don't like wearing it. I don't like seeing my grandchildren when they have to wear it and in different places. I don't like it. I think that we have a short period of time left in school, And I support the fact that we go ahead and wear that just till that June 1st time and be done with it. I'm looking forward to next year so that we can start getting school back to normal, not have the masks. But as far as finishing out the year and giving those teachers time to get their vaccination, I feel like that needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay, leading up to our second question, the order is going to be kind of tricky. Here's what we've got on this one. We've got, in order, Councilman, Tassett, Galana, Johannesson, Cluis, Packer, and Duran. So hopefully you got that memorized. Jerry Christian will help you. Mr. Councilman, you're going to lead it off. This is question number 2. What is your stand on biological males performing as females in sports?
I'm totally against that. I don't think that's a good idea I don't think it's fair. So I don't think we should allow that in our schools.
Same question to Mr. Tassett. What is your stand on biological males performing as females in sports? You've got 2 minutes.
You know, the question of the left is whatever happened to women's rights? I mean, if men are participating in women's sports and they're winning all the prizes, what happens to the women? I mean, where is women's sports then if men are taking over that too? I mean, it's a very serious thing. And also, what about the protection of our girls in the locker room? I mean, if you're allowing all this stuff to go on, I mean, oh my God. I mean, if the boy still has everything on them, I mean, they can do anything to that little girl. I mean, there's so many things that could happen, and there's more bad than good. And our values, the women are values, okay? If someone has an issue like this, it is a mental health issue. It needs to be addressed, and no one ever addresses it. It's told that it's your choice, it's an option, and that's just sad. We need to address it as a mental health issue, and we need to really help them because it's gender dysphoria, and we should really have them being counseled and everything. I mean, it's a very serious problem, and I'm for protecting our girls in their sports, and I'm for protecting our girls, and helping all the community, all the children who are being indoctrinated to think that, oh, if I feel like a boy, or if I feel like a girl, then I am that. No. I mean, you're creating God's image, and you're created as a boy and a female, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts, and they need to be helped if they think otherwise. So, that's what I believe.
Mr. Galana, you've got 2 minutes. Same question. What is your stand on biological males performing as females in sports?
Yeah, I'm against that. Listen, it's just an unfair biological advantage. And whatever happened to us protecting girls with Title IX? I mean, didn't we all fight so hard to make sure that girls had an equal opportunity at scholarships and at the same sports things that guys did? I don't understand why now some of the people on that same side have decided that we need to allow biological males to compete with biological women. It makes no sense. It's firmly against my values for one, but I want to protect women's rights and their right to go after scholarships and have a good athletic career in school.
Same question for Ms. Johannesson. You've got 2 minutes. What is your stand on biological males performing as females in sports?
So I'm absolutely opposed to that as well, for a variety of reasons, most of which have already been stated. You know, I want to give all students an opportunity to feel safe and to feel welcomed in their school environment, and I certainly believe that there's a way to do that. But allowing biological men to compete with biological women is absolutely not fair. If there were a co-ed bracket and everyone knew going in that they were competing co-ed, then maybe it wouldn't matter. But especially when we're talking about, like has been stated, the opportunity to earn scholarships. You know, if you've been working toward a goal, been training since you were a young child to earn a scholarship to college because that was the only way you were going to get there, and suddenly the district pulls the rug out from under you and allows biological men to compete with biological women, we no longer have a level playing field. It's just completely not possible to compete at that level. And all that work that that girl had been putting in to earn that opportunity is taken away from her by the district, and that's not fair. So I would absolutely never support that.
Ms. Lewis, you've got 2 minutes, same question. What is your stand on biological males performing as females in sports?
I would be totally against that. I'm against the Equality Act. It is not fair for the female student to have to compete against a biological male. When I went through nursing school 10 years ago, we learned that there were 2 genders, a male and a female. And although I like to sympathize with somebody going through whatever they're going through, that doesn't give them more rights over our female students. It is not fair to our female students to have to compete against a biological male. That's my stance on that.
Ms. Packer, you've got 2 minutes, same question. Are you for, I'm sorry, what is your stand on biological males performing as females in sports?
You know, there's not a lot more to say about it. I'm totally against it. It's not right. It's not fair for the girls. I coached. I know that may be funny to some of you, but I was a coach when I first started teaching. And as soon as that question came up, I started thinking about that and how wrong that would be. It's not fair to the girls. It's not fair when you start thinking about scholarships and some of those things that have already been mentioned. I can't think of anything new to say. I agree with what everyone else has said, and it's just totally wrong. There's no discussion about it. It's just wrong.
Ms. Duran, to close out this question, you've got 2 minutes. What is your stand on biological males performing as females in sports?
It's unanimous. Now, think for a minute. We just had Mr. Clarence Jordan up here, and we have me up here. And we're going to compete equally. Now, if it's gymnastics and we're doing the splits, maybe I'll be. But it's just not logical. It just doesn't work. And it's not going to happen in the long run. It's just not going to work. We know it's not. And we have, I have a heart for some of these kids with some of the issues that they have, and I have counseled with them before. And I have a heart for some of the kids that have some biological issues. And I think we should help them in any way we can and make people feel accepted and make people feel loved and cared and nurtured. But that doesn't mean that somebody my size runs against somebody Clarence Jordan's size. Now, I'm pretty fast, but I'm not very big. So, at least not in body. I'm pretty big in spirit, as all of you here know. So, I think it's unanimous. We have to do it in such a way that doesn't hurt people, if we can. But we also have to keep it where our girls have an opportunity to compete. Thank you.
Okay, our next question. Do you favor sex education of students as young as kindergarten age that includes the topics of gender confusion and LGBTQ activities? The order we're going to go on this question, we're going to start with Ms. Duran, Johannesson, Cluess, Packer, Galana, Tassett, and Consulman. So, Ms. Duran, you have 2 minutes.
This is a ridiculous question. I'm not insulting the questioner, but the fact that this is an issue is ridiculous. Kindergarten? What we should be teaching in school is academics. Amen. School. I'm a very strong academic person. School is an academic institution. We teach the TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. Then we have our own teachers do the actual curriculum in order to avoid any outside influence. Every now and then something will come up. We have to take care of it. That's true. You're going to always have that. But that's what we do. Reading, writing, arithmetic, I'm sorry, I'm a little old-fashioned. I've been teaching a long time, and that's what I want in my schools. I have 6 grandchildren, and I'm right now with my son, who has a child in 1st grade. I'm helping him in a district which shall remain nameless on how to handle this very issue. We will not have this issue in Rockwall as long as I'm on the board.
Mr. Johansson, you've got 2 minutes. Do you favor sex education of students as young as kindergarten age that includes the topics gender confusion and LGBTQ activities?
I don't favor sex education of kindergartners regardless of what topics it includes. Absolutely not. I have a 2nd grader who also should not be learning about sex in school. And quite honestly, I don't even want to think about my 17-year-old learning about sex in school. You know, that's the kind of thing, sex, race, religion. There are a number of topics that should not be taught in a classroom. There's no room for politics in the classroom. There's no room for an agenda, a slant from one side or the other, quite honestly, in a classroom. Classrooms are for education, and these topics are sensitive matters that should be handled in the home. We are very fortunate in Rockwall to have so many parents involved. I mean, look around. The people who are here tonight care about the quality of our education. They care about the future of our district. We are so fortunate to have parental involvement because that's one of the #1 predictors of a student's success after school, after the public school system. And those topics, all of that education should be done in the home, not in the classroom.
Mr. Lewis, same question. You've got 2 minutes. Do you favor sex education of students as young as kindergarten age that includes topics of gender confusion and LGBTQ activities?
Absolutely not. I think that some of these topics that are coming up across the country should be left for the parents to address with their children at home. Sex in kindergarten, are you kidding me? I don't even know really who did create this question, but it is popping up across the country, so it is sort of a legitimate question just to make sure we're all on the same page here, and we absolutely are so far. I would be horrified if my kindergartner was in school learning about sex from his teacher. But from what I've heard, that is actually happening in some places across this country. So it is very disturbing. I think that please let us be parents and let us talk to our own children about sex, religion, politics. I think we should teach our kids in school what to think, not how to think. And that's my stance on that. I don't think it could be any clearer.
Ms. Packer, you're up next. 2 minutes. Do you favor sex education of students as young as kindergarten age that includes topics of gender confusion and LGBTQ activities?
Wow, unlike others, I'm shocked that that's a question. I have a 3-year-old grandson in this district, and I would be mortified if that was taught to him. I mean, that makes me emotional to think that any child of that age, that the school would think it's their responsibility. Our teachers need to teach the TEKS that are given them, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. They need to stay away from anything like this. My core values are totally against that topic. It's totally against teaching those things in school. I just am, I would be appalled. And so I'm totally against that. I agree we need to be teaching and we need to be educating our kids in academics. And these sorts of things are not the things that need to be in our public school. And if I'm on the school board, I will fight with all the power I have to keep that out, if it were to come our way.
Same question, 2 minutes. Do you favor sex education of students as young as kindergarten age that includes the topics of gender confusion and LGBTQ activities? 2 minutes.
Okay, the short answer is no. I don't support any of those things. Look, just because
obviously I've lost video. I'm going to go find out what is wrong. We'll be right back with you, so hang with me.
Accurate representations of facts, history curriculum without editorial components. I think that that's referring probably to the 1619 project, which is something that was put out by some journalists. So that's the editorial component. And obviously they attempted to rewrite history. And it was actually refuted by a number of historians, and they actually had to dial it back and come back and make some corrections to that because it wasn't history that was published as such. And unfortunately, I think that we've got some people in our school system currently who believe that, and also we've got some recent graduated educators who are now in our school system who were taught that. So they're at the point where they believe that to be truth, and they're wanting to push that on our kids. And I know this because I have high school students. I have one who's 20, I have one who's almost 18. All of my siblings grew up in Rockwall ISD, and in the high schools, they have learned from their history teachers, in middle school even, that editorial version of history was actually the true history. And quite honestly, I'm offended. Like I said, I'm a constitutional conservative. My husband is a Marine, and we take our history very seriously. I don't know how to say all that. We take our history very seriously. And I think it's about teaching truth, teaching facts, and giving children the information. And I don't want to omit anything from our history. Some of it's not pretty, and that's okay. But we certainly don't need to omit the pieces that aren't comfortable. We need to teach the uncomfortable. We need to teach all of it truthfully, factually, and not from a position of a political agenda, which unfortunately has been the case of recent.
Ms. Lewis, you're up next. You've got 2 minutes. Do you want the United States and Texas history curriculum to be truthful and complete without editorial components?
Yes, that would be nice. I think all of our children deserve that. I know that's what I received whenever I was going through school, and most everyone out here probably received the same education. It'd be nice to know some basic history, some Texas history, so that we can make sure that our students graduate from Rockwall and the surrounding communities and be able to pivot into a global society. Not all of our kids are going to stay here and live in Rockwall. It's important that when they do graduate and they do move off, that they have a foundation for history, for civics, to be a proud American and to know what that is. And so yes, I think it's very important to not edit our history, no matter how awful it is. There are some very negative things that have happened in our history, and that's what history is about. We learn from it, and if we edit that, how are we supposed to learn from our past mistakes? So yes, I would absolutely agree that we should teach our kids the real history and not an edited version. Thank you.
Councilman, you've got 2 minutes. Do you want the United States and Texas history curriculum to be truthful and complete without editorial components?
Yes, of course. I believe all of our instruction should be non-political, unbiased, and just teach the facts. When a teacher teaches history or social studies or even politics, we should know what side of the spectrum are on. They're on the left or right. Just give us the facts, just teach our kids knowledge, and no editorial components should be in there at all.
Mr. Gamama, you've got 2 minutes. Do you want the United States and Texas history curriculum to be truthful and complete without editorial components?
Yeah, 2 minutes is going to be tough, but I'll try. Since when did teaching American exceptionalism become an issue that only conservatives believe in? What happened there? No, I don't believe in the 1619 doctrine that the New York Times decided to make up to push what they really wanted, which was everybody to believe that we're an inherently racist nation and that all the things we did in the past make us evil. Imagine the world without America in it. How much worse off would it be? We have to teach kids the truth, the facts about our history, even if some things aren't great. If we don't learn the lessons from the past, we're going to repeat them over and over and over again. And I don't believe that revisionist history has any place in our schools.
Ms. Packer, you've got 2 minutes. Do you want the United States and Texas history curriculum to be truthful and complete without editorial components?
I do want that curriculum to be truthful. I don't think that we need to add to it. I think our teachers need to stay with the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills and teach what they're asked to teach without putting an extra bias on there. I don't think we need to add anything to it. History needs to stay truthful, and just like some others have said, even if there are some areas that are uncomfortable, we still need to stay true to the facts. Thank you.
Mr. Duran, you've got 2 minutes. Do you want the United States and Texas history curriculum to be truthful and complete without editorial components?
Of course. Our history must be true. It must be factual. It must show the good, the bad, the ugly, and we've got it all. We all know that. We're aiming for a more perfect union. We're not perfect, but we're growing to it. A little example. This bracelet. The Navajo, I did a training for the Navajo Nation, and they gave me this bracelet, and they adopted me into their nation. And every single day, the Navajo Nation says 2 things. They're proud of their code talkers. They're proud of serving this country. And number 2, they talk about the Trail of Tears. And they honor the people that died in the Trail of Tears. So that is an example of actual history. The good, the not so good. And we have to just be honest and not put our political views into it at all. I recently taught at a small college in Dallas, and it was kind of funny when I walked past the student lounge and the students were arguing about my politics. They didn't know. They didn't know what my politics was, and I did that on purpose. Somebody thought, oh, she's a Republican for sure. Did you hear her say this? Oh, well, no, she's more liberal on this. I throw stuff out because it was a sociology class. You had to throw it out for them to discuss, but they never knew my actual politics because I was teaching content. I wasn't trying to teach them what to think, having them reason. We just need to be honest, and tell the truth, and teach real history. Thank you.
Fantastic, you've got 2 minutes. Do you want the United States and Texas history curriculum to be truthful and complete without editorial components?
This question shows how much has changed in this country over the years. Yeah, a lot's changed in our school system in 20 years. Okay, most of the people running for my seat have been educated in about 20 years. Well, I've experienced this exact kind of question in our school system. We need to make sure that we're teaching our youth to love this country. This country has given me the opportunity to run for office. It's given me everything. And anyone in this country can rise and succeed and be whoever they want to be. And I want that to be taught to all of our students, to everyone, no matter who you are. This country is the most amazing nation on the face of this earth, and everyone needs to realize that, and we need to teach that. Yes, our history isn't good, and it isn't perfect, but we have, it's amazing because so much has been accomplished in this country, and I've personally been attacked for not owning property in this community. And that's seen as a reason why I can't run for office. Well, the 14th Amendment says otherwise. That's one part of changing the history of the country that discriminated against certain people. So I can go on and on about this, but we need to make sure that we're teaching our youth the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it shows just how anyone can rise in this nation. It doesn't matter who you are. And one issue that we need to look into is the IB program. As a conservative student in our schools, I was always attacked by one set group of kids. It was always the IB kids, because they were taught revisionist history, and it's about how you're taught it, not about what you're being taught sometimes. It's about how the teacher is being taught, and who is teaching them how to teach our history. Lots of times in our schools, the teachers have continued education, and they're educated by people in New York, not Texas. So we're having New York values teach our kids, not Texas values. So that needs to be changing as well.
Okay, our fifth question. Do you agree or disagree with House Bill 4093 filed by Texas State Representative James White? First responder is going to be Mr. Galana, followed by Councilman and Packer and Durand and Tassett, Cluis, and finishing up this question with Ms. Johannesson.
Well, we may want to tell people what House Bill 4093 is. Ask if anyone knows what idea. Does anybody on this table have any idea what House Bill 4093 is? 1,000 bills. So, yeah, 1,000 bills.
Okay, I will give you a brief introduction. This is a bill to be enacted relating to civics instruction, public school students, and instruction policies in public schools. It's a lengthy bill, but it talks about the fundamental, moral, political, and intellectual foundation to the American experiment, federal, state, and local levels, teaching the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, Federalist Papers, etc. I'm not going to read the entire bill.
Right, so I'll give you my answer. I feel like this is a very similar maybe question to the last question we had on revisionist history. So this bill aims to protect us from said revisionist history happening in our schools, so of course I support that. Listen, our kids need to learn about the Constitution. We hardly teach about that at all anymore. It's brief. They need to learn about the Declaration of Independence. They need to learn about all the things that went into those documents, how hard we had to fight for them, all the sacrifices that were made, all the sacrifices that continue to be made for those people that serve our country to protect it. You know, without learning these things, they don't learn what America really is. But that's on purpose from the left and from some educators. It's on purpose. They want to remove that because they don't believe in the American dream anymore. They don't believe in what we're about. They believe we're terrible, and they want us to be like Europe. They want us to end up like California and Texas. Can't do that here. I do support it.
Same question to Mr. Councilman. Do you agree or disagree with House Bill 4093 filed by Texas State Representative James White?
Yes, I do support it. I think we need to be celebrating our history. I think we need to be celebrating people like John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson. Our founding fathers, our children should know more about them. Our history is awesome, and it should be taught in our schools. So I think that this is a good bill, and I 100% agree with it.
Ms. Packer, 2 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with House Bill 4093 filed by Texas State Representative James White?
Well, I have to say this is the first that I've heard of this bill, but from what I understand, yes, I support it. I think that our kids have to know the truth about our history. And I said it earlier, some things are uncomfortable about our history, but we've got to learn it. And I think we've got to stay true to that. And I go back to our TEKS that our state sets out. That's what our teachers need to be teaching. And we need to protect what we know is to be true and stay to that. Thank you.
Ms. Durand, you've got 2 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with House Bill 4093 filed by Texas State Representative James White?
Well, based on your description of it, yes, of course. it is very similar to our last question. Teach the facts. Teach the truth. Teach real history. And that means the great experiment, the best experiment that's ever happened in the world, and that's called the United States of America. And yeah, it's an experiment. So we have to keep getting better all the time. Of course.
Nope.
We grow, we learn, we make it better.
Yeah.
But the basic premise
Yeah, it
of
seems
our
like
Constitution and how we started off
everybody has their favorites, that's
is
for sure.
just gorgeous.
I think the
Really,
questions are
it's just almost
off,
biblical.
just too softball.
We need to instill those in our children.
Yeah.
It's important. It's very important. And if we do instill that idea of freedom and equality and helping each other, then we'll continue to grow and get better as a country. And so, yes, I love what is described in that bill. Now, it'll probably get changed up and tweaked and all that's the way bills are.
ask harder
but
questions.
in general, it sounds like a really good approach to teaching civics and government.
Tassett, you've got 2 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with House Bill 4093 filed by Texas State Representative James White?
Well, we obviously haven't read the bill, but I do support it from what I've heard. I would like to read it more to give my full endorsement, but I do believe in teaching our history unedited, teaching our youth to love this country and to show what it offers everyone, to show that anyone can rise in this country and be who they want to be, and fight for your values and fight for our freedoms. And we just offer so much in this country that no one else has, and we just need to continue to value that and continue to show everyone just how wonderful it is to live in this country. So yeah, I think I support it.
Ms. Lewis, 2 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with House Bill 4093 filed by Texas State Representative James White?
Well, I'm going to be real honest with you. I'd like to read the bill first before I endorse it. But from what you've described, it sounds like we're going over a history lesson again. I think it should be fun for kids to learn what their history is. I don't see anything wrong with it, but again, for me to give it my full endorsement, I would really like to read the bill myself. But again, it goes back to learning our Constitution. There's nothing wrong with loving your Constitution and loving your country, and I don't know where we got sideways on that. Thank goodness this room doesn't seem to be, so I'm proud to be here in Rockwall and share this conversation with you like-minded citizens. So thank you very much.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, he would know.
Question, Ms. Johannesson, you got 2 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with House Bill 4093 filed by Texas State Representative James White?
If I am to understand as it's been described, I would say that this comes back to American exceptionalism.
No one, I mean,
and I think it's really important that we teach our youth how exceptional our country is. And that does go back to the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers.
You can see
and one of the most valuable lessons I think that we'll find when we focus on that foundation again, is that at the foundation of this country was faith.
Well,
and that's something that has been removed
if we're going to be
from our
interviewing,
schools. And we don't think, I think we don't teach so much about that anymore because we're not allowed to talk about faith in school anymore. And that's unfortunate. I want to celebrate who we are as a nation, how we got started, what's important to our value system. And the faith is really at the root of American exceptionalism. And that's something that should absolutely be discussed and celebrated.
Sounds good.
All right, folks, we are at the home stretch. We've taken it home. We've got closing comments from each of the 7 candidates. 2-minute closing comments. We're going to start right here with Ms. Packer, work right down the table, and then we will have a few closing comments at the end, and we'll be released. So, 2 minutes closing comments, starting with Ms. Packer. Go.
Thank you. I want to start out by repeating the fact that I'm a Christian. I have conservative values. I do have a lot of experience in education, and I have several degrees. Those degrees are not what qualify me to be on the school board. It's experiences that I've had in this town, and the ways that I have been able and had the opportunity to work with parents and work with students. Listen, I have worked with parents of bilingual students. I was fortunate to be the principal on campuses that had bilingual programs. I've worked on just traditional campuses. I've worked on been principal for the DAP and for the Choice High School. A lot of people don't know about Choice High School, but that's an opportunity that our district gives students that maybe don't fit that traditional campus, or maybe there's a reason why they need to go on and graduate, get out and start their adult lives. All of those experiences, I think I can come to the board and just look at things differently. Listen, the board needs a lot of skill sets, okay? Don't get me wrong. We need CPAs, we need people that are CEOs, we need all of that. But I also think we need educators on the board. And I think that I can come, even though I have very conservative values that may be different than some of the people that I work with. I can handle that with kindness. I can still listen to people and treat people with respect. I think everyone deserves that. So I would be honored to have your vote, and a vote for me. You would be looking at quality education and working very, very hard to keep our town a conservative town. Thank you.
You've got 2 minutes.
First off, thank you all for coming tonight. What a great crowd, a great turnout. Look, I'm a conservative, as you all have seen from my answers tonight, and I'm running because I want to protect those values that we all believe in this room. And it's critical. We're at a critical juncture right now. Are we going to stay with the status quo and continue to let things slide into our district that we don't believe in, or are we going to elect someone who's going to be bold and stand for what our values are and not just talk about it, but actually take action? Things are going on now that we have to prevent. There's too much LGBTQ agenda being pushed in our schools. It's here now. It's not something that we can say is coming later. It's already here. We have to end it. We have critical race theory education being embedded in the curriculum all over the place right now. It's part of this nonsense revisionist history too. And we have to stop that. And that means we have to have people that are willing to put in the work to vet the curriculum that we have in our schools now. I can tell you that there's stuff in the schools now that goes directly against that here in Rockwall, and we have to end it. So a vote for me is a vote for somebody who will stand up for those values. And there's other things on the agenda that I want to do. Why don't we have a JROTC program here with our tremendous veteran community? Why have we been...
It takes about 12. Well, it takes about 12 hours to edit.
We did that over and over again for that. What a great way
I've already started you guys. Y'all
and about responsibility. And we have a number of people ready to step up.
So y'all actually are
the cost to
probably going to be easier. Both of you are very succinct with your answers, and so
we have to get that now. We also have a issue with trades education here. Look, it can't be all about college for everyone. Okay. We need to teach people about trades and give them opportunities to earn certification.
It took me 6 hours. It was a bear.
It is our job as a board to provide all of those opportunities.
Mr. Councilman, you've got 2 minutes for your closing.
First, I'd like to thank the Republican Party for hosting this event.
You'll, Adrian should let you know, and if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, it will also let you know when I post it. And what I do is I set it as a premiere, so I'll post it, and it will premiere usually around 7 or 8
Hopefully tonight I've been able to show you a little bit about myself and why this candidate.
On the Bunker Bob, YouTube channel. And so once I get it edited, and once it's done, then I upload it and set it as a premiere, and it'll wait until the premiere to go live. But I'll make sure that Adrian.
If you want change in our schools, if you want change in our community, you need to vote for Dalton. Because I know what it's like to be a student in our school system. On the board right now, what do we have missing? We have business owners, we have parents, we have the educator perspective, we have all these different perspectives, all these different experiences, but we don't have the experience of someone who knows what it's like inside the schools.
Would you rather talk
recently,
about
okay? People have all been in the school system, but who's been in it this decade? Okay, no one has. And I know what the current challenges are of our school system. We need someone with a recent and relevant experience In opposite to
Bunker Bob. Yeah.
I put a scripture on my campaign sign, 1 Timothy 4:12, but no one but
thank
on
you.
you for your youth, but set the believers.
Well, thank you very much.
On good love, faith, and purity. Because my faith is
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Scriptures on their campaign
Thank you.
signs, but I do because I am doing it.
Yeah, I try to post. Yeah, I
I
give a conservative perspective on Rockwall politics
That is the bottom
every
line.
week.
I will make you proud, and everyone who supports me knows that they're ready for a fresh change.
Just go to bunkerbob.com.
It's time for something different, and I bring that. And
Oh,
I'm
thank
just
you.
so encouraged by all the
Y'all are
support
really
that
nice.
you
Thank
do.
you so much.
My whole family
I
is
really
here
appreciate
supporting
it.
me.
Thank you
Everyone's
so
reaching
much.
out to me.
It's really
It's
nice.
just so nice, and people are ready for something different. And it's just so encouraging. And I'm just so thankful for everyone coming out today.
And
I
is there
really
anything
appreciate it.
that you didn't get to say
one
that you
thing,
thought,
too, is
I wish I
didn't
would
back
have?
down
You haven't
my
seen it yet,
teachers.
so
I
it's
didn't
easier
back
for
down
me,
when the
you know, like
establishment made
the school
looking
board
for me to
candidates,
step
they were
out
able to see
of the
it,
race.
and then I was able to say, hey, what would you want to say? And everybody had an answer, you know. Yeah, I wish.
Because I will be bold,
Yeah, because you were very, he was,
like no one else has ever
he was
seen
very
before in
good.
this
I mean,
community.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Clarence, man, he taught. And I gave him a hard time on that too, because he's gonna be the reason y'all
I really
is so
respect your
long.
time, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity.
He's got some good
What sets me
stories, you
apart from
know,
these
and
two
they're
guys?
interesting and stuff.
Because
But I
it's
got to
important.
think,
We have
okay,
a
well, is
choice,
this gonna
and there are three of
be
us
good
running
for him, or
for place
is this
two.
just gonna lose
I think probably the most obvious. I'm a mama bear. I've raised 5 children in this district. I have 3 up and coming, like I mentioned, a second grader and 2 9-year-old twins. And I take it personally. I also have business ownership perspective, like I mentioned in the past. I've talked with some of you one-on-one. But what really, really intrigues me about the way that the board operates currently is that there's a lack of transparency. There's a lack of transparency in Rockwall ISD School Board.
The questions are
It's
not
unfortunate.
very
I don't know that it's malicious,
good about
but it is a
getting
reality.
some differences from
It's
there.
very hard to get a hold of documents. When the agendas are published 72 hours in advance, they're line item agendas, they don't include any documentation. Our county and our cities, everyone that you've seen represented here tonight in the forums before ours, publish their entire agenda packet with all supporting documentation in advance. So you as a concerned citizen, parent, and taxpayer have the materials available to you. So if you want to talk about anything, if you want to challenge anything, you have access. And that has not historically been the case in Rockwall ISD School Board. So I will tell you, when I'm elected, that's priority number 1 for me, is transparency.
Well, in
Priority
Rockwall,
number 2,
we vote
obviously, is going
73%
to
Donald Trump.
be to keep the open
If you want
lines
to get
of
elected,
communication.
everyone
I publish
has
my
a
phone number, I
Republican.
have it on
So
every piece of
that means no
material
one's
that I've put out during this
no one's
campaign
a
process, and I've received a
you
lot
don't
of
know
phone
who's
calls, and I
concerned.
really appreciate that feedback. I think it's important that you have an open line of communication to everyone that's going to represent you.
Oh, you do? Okay.
You are electing a representative, you have to be able to reach
What were their
them
questions
and know that
like?
they're going to call you back, that they're going to respond to your interests. I appreciate everyone being here. I ask for your votes, and I challenge the other
things.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for coming tonight. It shows what makes Rockwall. You care.
Absolutely.
You care about the community. And that's what makes our schools good. And our schools are top rated in the state. Very top rated. They've been A schools for the last several times. Our financial management is A+, and one of the top 1% in financial management in the state of Texas. So we've got good schools because we've got good people. We've got good parents and good students. We've got good people. And I am liaison for the Rockwall Economic Development Corporation for Rockwall ISD. And one of the top things that brings businesses here is we've got good schools. And if you look at signs, they'll say development. And the thing they advertise is Rockwall Schools, Rockwall ISD. We want to keep our schools good. We can always improve. People talk about career and vocational education, but what people don't know is we have, count them, 27 career vocational programs at Rockwall. We have auto body. We have auto mechanics because we have an articulation agreement with the Dallas Community Schools. So we have We have manufacturing, we have drills, we have all kinds of stuff for our students. 27 either certifications or courses towards certifications. 27. We're working hard. We can keep working hard. We can always get better, and we're always striving to get better. My heart is with this community. I work hard. I go to meetings. I vote. Consider me to be reelected to the Rockwall ISD Board, place 3.
Ms. Lewis is going to finish this out, but before she starts, when she's done, we're done, but please stick around for about 45 seconds of announcements before it gets crazy. So please, when she's done, just hold tight. I promise we will not go long after that. So Ms. Lewis, you've got 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
My name is Jill Cluess, and I'm running for School Board Trustee, Place 3. I appreciate your support. I want to earn your vote. You can find me on jill4risd.com. The main reason why I'm running is I call 2020 the lost year. I have a 15-year-old daughter that's in high school, and some of the decisions that were made, my daughter lost a year of education. And every time I reached out to a parent, reached out to a teacher, they told me to go to the counselor, to go to the principals. That's exactly what I did. Then I was told to go to the school board. So then in October, I went and spoke to the school board, and I never really got a response back from my concerns. So that's what brought me to this place that I'm in right now. I am concerned about the transparency. I do have a 24-year-old son that graduated from Rockwall in 2014, also graduated from the University of Arkansas in 2019. And if he would have had a little bit more exposure to the trades that are offered, maybe I wouldn't have found myself with him graduating from HVAC school 2 weeks ago. So he has had a lot of education, and he's landed with that career. Not to take anything away from his college education, because I'm glad he did that. But there's a fresh perspective, a parent's perspective that I think that I could bring. I am a registered nurse. I think that I could help us with moving along through this pandemic back to normal. So I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Over to our county chair, Laverne Kinnemer, for some closing remarks. Please stick around. I'm asking all 7 of the school board candidates up here to stick around. We're going to take a photo of the group in a second. But right now, Ms. Laverne Kinnemer, some closing remarks.
I want to thank all of you for coming, because this little bitty county, and it's the smallest in the state of Texas, but it is huge in the state of Texas, and this is why. Because you care. And I appreciate it so much. I thought we had a large crowd the last time. This tops it, and this is a nonpartisan race. And I'm hoping all of you vote, and you get 10 other people to vote, because we need to have anyone that's elected in this room by huge margins. We need all of them to get votes. They are perfect, and they're wonderful to stand up and run for something in this county. And I appreciate them so much. Thank you.
A round of applause to all the candidates and everybody who put together.
Well, and that's the end of tonight's candidate forum, and obviously a lot of things were said. I tell you that it was interesting, obviously, to hear a lot of the candidates and what they had to say, and we're surely, I guess we're gonna hear more. But of course, many of the candidates, all of the state school board candidates, have already been on the show. They've already posted it. But an upcoming show is going to be the next actually upcoming show will be with Jeff Ivey, and of course, my friend here, Mr. Welch. You are running for city council in Heath. We talked a little bit earlier, but I wanted to bend your ear because you've got grandkids in Rockwall schools, so this issue obviously is an important one to you.
Absolutely, and running for Rockwall Place 3, not Heath.
I'm sorry.
Not to confuse you.
Yeah, it's Kraus and Ivy.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you're.
Yeah,
gosh,
Kraus and me
it's
are
been a
both
long.
old men. That's okay. I can understand that. I'm a little taller.
Yeah, you are. I will say that. I'm sorry, Rockwall. Okay. Well, what? Okay. That's why you got kids in Rockwall schools, right? So what did you hear tonight? Or what? Obviously, it's an important issue.
Right.
So, what's important to you? What did you hear tonight that was important?
When you listen to the questions, most of them seem to be kind of far left reaching.
Yeah.
And
they were pretty obvious.
The scary thing is that the questions needed to be asked.
Yeah.
Because this is not the America and the school system that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Nor my daughter.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 grandkids that both go to Reinhardt.
Reinhardt. Yeah.
And my grandson would be 11 on the 25th of this month coming up.
Okay.
And my granddaughter just turned 9.
Okay.
And they have got a phenomenal school. They love their teachers.
Wonderful.
From what I can see, most of the teachers that I'm seeing are very conservative.
Yeah.
But yet, I think we're probably on the low end. There's so many out there that are a little on the left that's going to pull in things that a conservative city like Rockwall is just totally against. I mean, the questions asked, I would have expected every one of the school board members to have said, yes, absolutely, we don't believe that.
Yeah.
And from this point going forward, hopefully we can continue and make our school board as well as the school system realize that Rockwall does mean business and that we want our conservative values upheld.
Amen to that. It was interesting because, as we had talked about, 73% of Rockwall voted for Trump, so everyone's a Republican. So
75%.
Well, it should have been more, but we've got a lot of people moving in from California and the left coast, and so of course we're seeing that trend. We're trending purple. Rockwall, not yet, but that's why I was hoping maybe the questions would actually have some substance that would help to basically divide and show a difference, a real difference. And as we saw tonight, the candidates really struggled to try to differentiate themselves from the rest. And I think a few of them did. I'm guessing you've already picked your horses. I'm not going to ask who they are, but I'm guessing you've already picked.
Absolutely have.
Was tonight helpful in that? Or had you already?
I mean, I'd already picked, but
because you watched the Bunker Bob show, obviously,
absolutely.
Right. You don't have to do that, Jerry. But I appreciate you, and I'm sorry that I called you Heath.
That's okay.
Yes, you are Rockwall, and man, big race, and so hopefully we'll get that thing out very soon.
All right,
So,
look forward to it.
all right,
Thank
have a
you,
great
man.
night. Thanks for
Appreciate
stopping
it.
by.
I'll set up all the work that you do.
Oh yeah, you bet. Any time. I'm glad to do it. Well, that of course is Jerry Welch, and he's running for Rockwall City Council along with 5 other people. But a more important race, in my opinion, is Mclendon Chisholm, which is why Val Bodart is here, is coming up to sit down with me again. We got cut off last time we talked, and I think Paul Day is going to also join us. So hopefully we'll have him, and we'll be able to talk again there. But you obviously you don't have kids in Rockwall schools, but obviously that was an interesting.
It was very interesting.
Yeah. What did you find most interesting of all that?
I loved the mask question, and I loved the response of the crowd.
Yeah.
And
definitely had an opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And the candidates now know that it is a very emotional question, a very emotional topic.
Yes.
And it's not anything that they need to blow off. It needs to be settled.
So
waiting is not a good answer.
And what?
Waiting until June 1st is just not a good answer. Especially when you have people from the school system in there without masks on.
Well, and that it was interesting because I did have a parent come out and say that the current school board members were inside the hall not wearing masks, and I'm guessing because they were requiring it of the students. I guess you would expect them to follow the protocol, even though I guess they don't have to, but.
Are they being good leaders by doing that?
It's not a good. I guess the optics aren't that good.
That's true. That's it. That's the word, optics.
Yeah. So what I want to go back to the race for Mclendon Chisholm City Council. We've got an open seat as well that may be filled, maybe not. I don't know what's going to happen there, but no. And so in addition to, they basically ignored the 1.5 acre minimum per home site standard. You had two people, and that's right. We talked a little bit about that. Yeah.
Why did they insist on having the decision that night?
Yeah.
Why?
What I found more interesting was when Lorna Kippett and Trudy Wessner said, well, no one came out to oppose something that is an ordinance, a law that says you have a minimum of 1.5. And apparently, if you don't come out to the city of Mclendon Chisholm and you don't say, hey, we want you to uphold the law, then they don't have to follow it. Thank goodness we don't have a police department.
I'm sure if I had been there and had spoken my piece, it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Mclendon Chisholm is a bastion of liberalism, and it is. They are in the back pocket of developers, obviously, and
obviously now.
Yeah, it's.
There was any doubt before.
It is interesting. Brian Davis was kind of a dark horse because we didn't know a whole lot about him. I got busy. I did not have time to get him on the show, but he has turned out to be an incredibly conservative member of the council. He is, He's
the one holding the line.
He is. He's the only one voting no on these ridiculous, outrageous actions, and so.
I'm so proud of him.
He's
brave,
absolutely.
Very brave in the face of all that opposition.
Well, Val, thank you so much. We I wish you the very best. I'm voting for you. I'm endorsing Val Bodart. I have no problem doing that. I live in Mclendon Chisholm, and if you're conservative, you would vote for Val. But if you're not, and Paul Day, that's right. But if you're not, then who cares? So anyway, thanks again. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming. And so Paul Day is also running for city council, and he's running against Trudy Wessner. He certainly has. He certainly has. Well, you know what? I guess I didn't switch the camera with Val, so sorry about that. Dadgummit. But Paul Day is here, and I'm going to sit down and talk a little bit. Paul, you kind of had the opportunity to talk a little bit about the importance of open spaces, and the show that you were on is going to be out probably Monday of next week, I'm guessing. But yeah, well, I am too. but no, you were in studio, and so we had talked. But this was before the council voted to just ignore the 1.5 acre minimum per home site standard, and it was only a 2-person vote, just 2 people. William Dahl wasn't there. Of course, he had campaigned that he would protect open spaces, but of course, there's a lot of things Mr. Dahl has not done. This is one of the key focuses of your campaign, and what I like about your signs is you even have kind of an open space picture of kids in there.
Those are my little girls.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, those
okay.
are my little girls.
I was wondering. A really good picture.
That was a photo
Oh, really? Now, see, that is important to know because it almost looks like stock footage, but that's good to know that is a real.
My little girls, whenever we go by, they point out, they say, "There's Daddy and us" every single time.
Oh, that's great.
It's a great photo. And it's how I envision Mclendon Chisholm.
How did you think that tonight went?
Some of the questions I think that we were asked, I have mixed feelings on it. Some of the questions really kind of plumbed out some of the differences between us.
Right, the questions were terrible. I mean, let's get that out of the way. But I mean, this is the problem. You know, when you have people who are all Republican, everybody's a Republican, right? So you need to ask questions that are going to differentiate you guys, and they just didn't. They were awful.
Yeah, probably. You know, one of the things in Mclendon Chisholm that's a big difference is, you know, the questions about development and the questions of what role the government should have in that development. And some of the questions that we got instead probably didn't really divide us. I mean, we all kind of looked at each other as colleagues and said we all kind of agree, which is why we live there, that this is all something that we either oppose or we support on whatever that question was. So it didn't really differentiate us all that much. But I think many of the voters, especially if they follow Mclendon Chisholm politics at all, they know that there's kind of, especially in place 3, which is the situation I'm running for, that there are important differences between myself and the colleague that is running for.
Yeah, Trudy Wessner, definitely the rhino of the group. But I appreciate, I really do appreciate what you're doing, and I'm praying for you, and I wish you the very best. I hope you win.
Thank you so much.
You've got my endorsement, that's for sure. So thanks, Paul. It's, you know, so we've obviously had a lot of races, but the big race, the one that put more people in the room, that packed the room, is school board. And so obviously we had a lot of great candidates, and one of those candidates is Sherry Packer. Sherry, it is great to see you again. How'd you feel tonight went?
I think it went well.
Yeah?
Just like many times when I speak, there are things that I wish I had said.
Of course. Yeah.
But I think it went well. I think that there were a lot of good people running.
Yeah.
And a lot of conservatives running also.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, and I think that we all have different platforms that we're running on. And so I just think that it's going to be time races.
Well, and obviously the questions did not do anything to help differentiate any of you, since everybody's a Republican. You know, everyone.
We all had all the same opinions.
You had I know Laverne Kinnemeyer could not have written those questions, because I think she would have done a better job. What do you think is the significant difference between you, now that you've had a chance to see your show and you got to hear from the person opposing you? What do you think the chief differences are between you?
I think one of the main differences is with my experience as an educator, maybe I see the public schools just a little bit differently.
Okay, how so?
I just think that we need to keep our eyes open and our ears open for things that are happening that in other areas. I think we need to do that. But my main focus is making sure that we're teaching those state objectives and standards that trust me. And I'm not saying that the other things that my opponents talks about, they're very important. Right. It's just that my campaign and my platform is just a little different. It doesn't mean that I don't have some of his same views and some of his same concerns.
Yeah, very good. Well, Sherry, I hope tonight was fun for you. Did you enjoy it?
I did. Honestly, I was nervous.
Were you nervous? Okay, yeah.
I was a little bit nervous. I was.
You sleep well tonight?
I hope so. Can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
I think one of the things that I didn't get a chance to say, I don't know, nerves or just the
Yeah, sure.
But I think we've got a great school district.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about our district is that they constantly stop and assist things.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I thought about that art center.
Yeah.
I was amazed when I went through and looked at the certifications that you can, leave with. Originally, I thought that we did not offer things like automotives and building, and then I realized we had a commercial business.
Yes.
Those are good.
Yes.
You know, when the time is right, would I be for a trade school when it's time for them? Absolutely, I would be.
Yeah.
I think right now we're building so many facilities, so that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Maybe once our quality slows down, or some individual comes up with the awesome gift to the district, then I have nothing against having trade schools, but I want to focus on what we're doing. We have got some awesome things.
You really do,
I'm
absolutely.
really excited to see that SAGE program continue to grow and start entering into middle school and high school, because as a principal, that was one of my concerns.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I just think we have a great district, and I've been proud and honored to support it.
Fantastic. Well, Sherry, great to see you. And by the way, Brett, he helped me unload some stuff, so I appreciate it. He's a great guy. Thanks again, Sherry. I appreciate it. That's Sherry Packer running for school board in place 1, and we also have a place 3 candidate that you heard from recently, and that of course is Mrs. Duran. And the only, obviously, we allow black sheeps to come on the show every once in a while, and even a T-sip. But and this is my T. That's right. This is my T-sip friend, and we do. You've got to have black sheep as friends, like Aggies, like me. I mean, you got to have people that you let in. How did you think tonight went? Yeah. Yeah.
Come out and care.
Yeah.
We know about good school system. We know we can improve. We all know we can improve. So, I mean, this is what I love about this community. I've lived here all my life. So.
Well, I loved that you said what all of us were thinking. This is a terrible question. There were not very many good questions that kind of helped differentiate you guys, and so that was the challenge.
What I really wanted the question to be was, how do we get back to work?
Yeah.
I mean, the masks are going to be gone.
Right.
People are getting vaccinated. I mean, that's really a non-issue right now.
Okay.
I mean, people are mad over it. I understand it because it's hard. But it would have been a total non-issue if we had opened up for teachers a couple months ago for vaccinations. We wouldn't even be talking about it.
Okay.
Because they would have had an opportunity.
I see.
Nevertheless, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But how do we get all this back to work?
Yeah.
I mean, how do we do the academics?
Right.
How do we do the English? Now I wish that question would come up, because that would have differentiated people's knowledge and skills.
Well, I appreciate the time that you've taken on my show and here. It's great to have you here
And I
tonight.
appreciate the way y'all handle it so professionally
Good.
and fairly. And
Good.
I appreciate it.
Great. I appreciate it. And best to you in your campaign. Yes. Well, of course, that's Jane. That is Mrs. Duran. I actually made a mistake and called her Dr. Duran, and she said, "Whoa! I'm not a doctor." So it was funny. We had some panic at the last minute, but it is always great because I tell you, I think everyone stayed around for the school board race, and of course, Amy Johannesson is one of those candidates that everybody waited to hear from. How do you feel that tonight went?
I think it was great. It was a great event. We had a great turnout.
Boy,
a
you
large
did.
community of concerned parents, voters, taxpayers in the district, which it means people are paying attention.
Yes,
And
yes.
your voice is heard the loudest at the local level, and I'm so glad that so many people got involved and came out to learn more about the candidates so that they can make an educated vote.
Yes, we've all been, everyone's kind of consensus is the questions were not very good about helping to differentiate all of you. They were all kind of kumbaya kind of questions. What's
There were a couple softballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? If you could have come up with a question, is there something that you wish had been asked?
I really wish we had talked more about property taxes.
Okay. All right.
This vote
Now we're
affects
talking.
the taxpayers the
Yes.
most, and there wasn't a single comment made about or question about property taxes. And I wanted to comment on it somewhere in there, but it never fit any of the questions. And so I tried to just represent that I've got some business experience. I want to be a good steward of your tax dollars. I'm a mama bear. I'm going to fight for your kids and your money. But I wasn't really sure how to bring that in when we didn't talk about it at all.
I love it. Thank you. That is so great. And I got to tell you, on a little aside, one of my favorite things tonight is seeing Trace actually running around for his wife. He's the campaign spouse, so that was good.
Yeah, he was great.
Well, I wish you the very best in the campaign.
Thank you. Can I take just a moment? Sure. I want to correct something that I said in the interview
interview the last time, and I made the mistake of saying...
What interview? Mine?
The interview that we did, recorded in the studio. I made the mistake of saying that Rockwall had lost 7% of our students, and that is not actually the case. The state of Texas has lost 7% of our students. My understanding in Rockwall is it's only about 20, so a much lower number. So that's something that we should absolutely celebrate, and I want to be sure that I make that necessary correction.
You thought it was 7%.
It's only 20 students.
Oh, I thought you were saying 20%. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Okay.
Yes.
Good. All right.
So that's great. But I just wanted to clear that up and make sure that I wasn't misrepresenting. The state of Texas has lost 7%, which is still a large concern.
Okay. Very good. All right, thank you so much,
absolutely.
Amy. Great to see you. Absolutely. Well, Amy Johannesson, obviously, Trace is actually doing the work that a campaign spouse should be doing. He's handing out information. He's wearing the shirt. Trace, you look awesome, dude. There you are. Yes. So, that is fun, but obviously, okay, so it was funny, Rich, because when I had Jerry Welch up here, for some reason I thought I was talking to you, and so I was like, and so we have a guy running for Heath, and no, anyway, so we do have one of the candidates running for Heath City Council. How do you think tonight went?
I think it went really well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There's probably not a lot of people from Heath here, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
This alone would make it very, very worthwhile.
It seems like you're enjoying yourself. Have you enjoyed your time on City Council?
I really have. It's been a great challenge, and I like campaigning. I think we mentioned that earlier.
You do?
And
Wow.
There's some really nice doors in Heath.
Yeah.
You got to wait a long time for them to hit that front door.
I never thought about that.
To do it, and you get to meet people and get to know your community. I mean, I've had to do it every 2 years.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm getting to know it better all the time.
Wow. And anything that if you could do tonight when you answered the questions. I mean, obviously the questions were not very good. We all. It seems like everybody's. I don't know where they came up with them, but if you could have asked a question, what question would you have liked to have heard tonight?
Well, I mean, I would like to have a factual comparison of how much community service experience that each of us have.
Yeah.
It's good to help kids and all that, but you're talking about running a city.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of legalities to it, there's a lot of regulations, there's a lot of government, and it does take experience.
Yeah.
And unless you've been to council meetings or just got engaged, you just don't know what you need to do. And I guess I have to specify, I'm not a politician.
No, you're not.
I was almost going to laugh at that. I work at a spy plane factory in Greenville, Texas. I just kind of get that. And I think Heath is an awesome city.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be a partner within Rockville County and not try to consider themselves, above or beyond that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and since I don't live there, I agree. Man, Rich, thanks so much. I wish you the very best in the campaign.
Appreciate it.
And hey, don't forget, if you do stay on the council, make sure that you come back and let's have a chat live, and then we can just go through a bunch more things.
Well, so now I got to get elected just so I can come back.
I hope so. Thank you. I appreciate you, Rich. That's Rich Krause, of course. He's running for Heath City Council. Jeff Ivey is his opponent. Rich has been on the council for about 12 years and has been really one of the most conservative members of the council. And obviously, Jeff Ivey has a good issue about term limits. I'm a term limit guy, but I like Rich and I like Jeff. So those are good things. But the big race, obviously, the most interesting, I think, even though most people came, I think, for the school board, but the most interesting one, I think, was the race for Rockwall City Council. And of course, Dr. Bento, you are back. Thank you for spending a little bit more time with me. How did you feel tonight went?
I think tonight went great.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity to share about our policies and also about ourselves. A lot of times people don't know us on a personal level, so today was just a great opportunity to reach out to all the folks that came out in person and also watched digitally.
Did you get a chance to meet a lot of people?
I did.
Yeah, a lot of voters.
Yes, absolutely. And I've also had some people even message me
Yeah.
on social media. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Okay.
So they were watching from home.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But
Very
yeah,
good.
They messaged and said, "Hey, good job."
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, and so, if there were any question, is there something that you wish that they had asked tonight?
Oh gosh, there's a lot. I think one of the big things that I think I would love to have discussed is our taxes and the increase in value of a lot of the homes and how that impacts our existing communities here in Rockwall. And it's great if you're selling your home to make a profit, but sometimes it's not so great if you're intending to stay here a bit longer. And we don't want to really push out the existing community due to increase in prices and increase in taxes. We want to provide a sustainable community for all, whether you're an existing or exiting community member.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for stopping by again, and in your show with you and the 4 candidates are going to be up next week, so I hope that's helpful. Thanks again for stopping by. Wish you the very best in your campaign. You bet. And Dr. Bento is one of 5 candidates running for Rockwall City Council, and boy, that was an interesting group that they had, and so that was kind of fun. But again, most people, I think, came to talk about the school board, and one of those candidates, obviously, is Dalton Tassett. And Dalton, you are certainly you certainly have the love and affection of a lot of people here tonight. How do you feel like it went?
I think it went great.
Yeah.
I have a lot of passion and I have a lot of experiences in the school system.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that someone represents that and knows what goes on recently. Because a lot has changed in 20 years. When I finished with school. So it's time for someone to act on what they've gone through.
Yeah. So you obviously the questions were not very good. We've already kind of hashed through that. What question do you wish they had asked? Anything?
I didn't like the question about the 8-bit bill.
Yeah.
Because that was going into the bill.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Why don't you ask a question about a very specific bill?
Yeah.
There should have been more like, what bills do you see that you like or you don't like coming down the pipelines from the Biden administration? Because the big reason why I'm running is I saw what happened in college with the indoctrination. And I know it's coming down the pipeline still in the schools. It's already happened.
Yeah.
But, it's time for someone to really understand some of the policies that's going on in the schools and what's being taught to us. But I wish they would ask a question about what bills you like or you don't like the equality tax. Maybe something just general. Like, is there a bill that you like to see, or is there something that you would like to see implemented in the school system? Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe something that we all can understand in a way. Besides one specific pinpointed bill that we don't. No one did.
Right.
No one knew the bill.
Right.
So
No.
maybe that's something they should have sent out to us, saying, "Hey, maybe you should know this bill. We're gonna ask about it."
Yeah, they were awful questions, no question about it. But I think you handled yourself well. I was very impressed with most of you, and I wish you the very best. But promise me this: if you win, you'll come back on my show. We'll talk about some.
I'll go to your house all the time.
Awesome, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Have a good night.
All right, have good luck with the campaign. And that is Dalton Tassett running for place 2 in the Rockwall School District School Board, and of course, one of the place 1, of course, is Bobby Galan. Is it Galan? Galana. I mean, it's Italian. Are you Italian? I mean, is that kind of?
It's actually Irish, and
it is.
We pronounce differently, but we just kind of adopted Galana. So I don't know why, but it is the way it is.
Okay, well, the consensus is awful questions tonight. What I did find interesting is you found a way to kind of answer the question, but really focus on the issues that you really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's important. Some of the questions were guided in a way that really didn't allow us to speak about the issues that I feel most passionate about the LGBTQ agenda, critical race theory, indoctrination. I just thought it was important that the audience knew that those issues were important.
I'm glad, and the audience really responded well to you. Do you feel good about tonight?
I do. I feel great. And I wish the questions had been a little bit different. But,
yeah.
But I feel good about my performance versus my opponent, and I feel like I got the points across that I wanted to the voting public tonight.
Yeah, good. Well, is there any question that you wish that they had asked?
There's several things. I wish they had asked about critical critical race theory.
Yeah.
I wish they had asked my beliefs on curriculum. Because, for instance, in the district now, when you have 350 teachers writing curriculum along with administration, that process is so hard to manage. I can't imagine how it's done well.
Yeah.
And some of the things I've discovered throughout this process of campaigning says that we're letting stuff slide in because that process isn't as tight as it should be. And so even though we're in a very conservative area of Rockwall County, we still have to realize that the left is going to slide this agenda in every way they can. And we've got to find a way to stop it.
Well, Bobby, I appreciate you taking time to stop by tonight. I know it's a late night, but I hope you feel good about tonight.
I feel great about tonight.
Well, I wish you the very best in the campaign.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you for stopping by again. Well, and of course, that's Bobby Galana. He is running for place 1 for the Rockwall School Board, and what a night. And I've got to, I can't even begin to say enough about my producer of this show, the Iron Lady herself. Actually, her nickname is Superwoman, because I don't know how she does everything she does. But Adrian, I appreciate everything you've done. Great. We had a good night tonight, even though we had a bunch of technical problems. But how many people showed up tonight, and what do you think?
I think it was around 200 people actually in the audience. We got a very good crowd that was energetic to listen to the candidates, and I think they're really interested in knowing what is going on in our city and as well as in our schools. They are interested to know how they're going to affect generations and also our city's future. So this is the time to get informed. I mean, we have had multiple candidates come on the show.
Yep.
And so look out for those videos. I mean,
Yes, they're coming up.
So I hope that you will come out and vote. We have early voting starting on April 19th, and then we have May 1st is election day. So don't forget to check out more videos from Bunker Bob, okay? Because we got more coming.
Thanks to Adrian Balcom, because those wouldn't happen. I wouldn't get those interviews if you didn't. I mean, just incredible what we're able to accomplish. So I appreciate everything you're doing. Seriously.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I really am trying to make an effort to reach out to all of the candidates. And if you haven't seen me, reach out through email or something, you want to come on the show, there's an invitation. We want to have you to hear what you have to say.
And that's an important point, because all candidates for all races have been invited, and there have been a few that chose not to come. It's their choice. We understand, because a lot of liberals don't like being in the bunker. But thought tonight was good, and I hope that you'll stay tuned, because we've got some good shows coming up that'll help you meet some other candidates. So
don't forget to subscribe to the Bunker Bob Show.
That's right. So we'll see you next time, and until then, blessings.